be on in a minute. I'm just sharpening my blade. Don't fall for his flattering tune. He'll promise you the world until you drink that perfume. It's a highway, highway to the door, and a neon Medusa's got your heart. Sweet canyon lullaby, don't look straight into its eyes. It's a highway, highway to the door. There's only two ways to make it in this town. One is to be brilliant, the other is to drown. But don't take both drugs all in one go. You can't reach the heavens passed out on the floor. It's a highway, highway to the door, and a neon Medusa's got your heart. Sweet canyon lullabies, don't look straight into its eyes. It's a highway, highway to the door. If your mama could see you now, if your mama could see you now, topless and upside down, the room spinning around. If your mama could see you now, with the party lights coming out, are you lost or are you found? Are there too many mirrors in this Don't fall in love with the man on stage. I'll be on in a minute, then I'll sweep you away. Don't fall for the monsters in this maze, but I could love you forever if you'd meet my gaze. perfume. It's a highway, highway to the door, and a neon Medusa's got your heart. Sweet canyon lullabies, don't look straight into its eyes. It's a highway, highway to the door. There's only two ways to make it in this town. One is to be brilliant, the other is to drown. Don't take both drugs all in one go. You can't reach the heavens passed out on the floor. It's a highway, highway to the door, and a neon Medusa's got your heart. Sweet canyon lullabies, don't look straight into its eyes. It's a highway.
Hello, welcome to Thursday. Yeah, face tracking is not on at the moment. You'll see the mouth moving, but you won't see the ando moving because, as I've explained before, when I do hand cam streams, my camera for stuff is over here, up, and my face tracking camera is over there. So I cannot physically look at the face tracking camera whilst also doing stuff here. And it also doesn't help that, like, when I'm looking down at stuff here, my model would kind of just be looking down anyway, and it gets all silly. So, yeah, welcome in. It's been a week. It's been a week of new things. Space Marine 2 is coming out next Tuesday, so we're currently in the phase that I hate of modern gaming, where we get inundated for a week with just endless people playing the pre-release version. I mean, I probably could have applied for an early access code, but I frankly didn't want to. I just want to kind of go in blind. I haven't been watching any of the class previews. I haven't been watching anything for it. And I've still been having to dodge shit on YouTube because people have been like literally spoiling the ending, like posting like end final boss fight. I'm like, dude, like, come on, it's not even, game's not even properly out yet. But yeah, speaking of games that are out, Botwar 3. This got into my hands yesterday. The official mail out for the first wave of these was Monday, I think. And mine got here Wednesday, which is pretty damn good. Some people are still waiting on theirs because Traders Galaxy explained that the rollout's happening in, I guess, a couple of waves, in the sense that there were a couple of different pre-order tiers. I went with the smaller one, the Scout, which basically just gets me the base game and one bonus mini. I didn't go with the larger ones like the Commander and the General, which get you a bunch more bonus minis that I couldn't justify at this point in time. I might pick them up later, but for the meantime, I just went with the base starter set. So because it's one of the smaller ones, it came first. So we're going to crack this open, have a look at it. I think it's, from what I've seen so far, it's a pretty good product. Now, caveat, I've already opened this. I've already opened it. I've unwrapped some things. I've opened up the little sachets that the models come in. Basically just to check that everything was in good order, like everything had survived Ozpost, and to make sure that, we weren't going to open this up to find anything unfortunately missing. Traders Galaxy has a pretty good hit rate, but they have had some issues in the past when they released the pre-order for the Red Star Nations. I believe it was the Pachyborgs were missing an arm, or they had a duplicate of the wrong arm. And they got that sorted in the end, but I wanted to make sure that we didn't run into anything like that before we kind of cracked this open. Now, there is one little caveat to that, which is this. So this is Cerberus. This is one of the minis that's in the box. You'll notice there's another little black speck rolling around in this dish. That's the tip of his tail. Now, it did not come like that. And so I want to be very clear about this. I broke this. I was handling the models. I was getting them out of the packets, and I dropped him, and he hit the tiles in my house, and I heard a clink, and yeah, the tip of his tail snapped off and skidded away, and I found it. I actually found the tail before I found Cerberus. So we might have a crack at fixing that tonight, but I just wanted to be upfront saying that I broke this. It did not arrive broken. So everything in my box arrived in good condition. So I want to be clear about that again, any of that sort of stuff is on me, not on Traders Galaxy. So without further ado, let's crack it open. Actually, no, before we do that, let's just take a quick moment to appreciate the box itself. The box is quite nice. It's the standard, yeah, exactly, time to get the glue, Liz. It's the standard sort of box that Traders Galaxy do with the fold up front. This is the new art for the 3rd edition, which has both the warbands. We've got Craw there, leader of the Deceiver warband, and Paladon, who's one of the new Golden Lion Valiants. Right. Opens up pretty simply. Straight up. I might just grab something to prop this open, just because it will want to kind of fall back down into my camera view. Where is a suitably sized prop? Hang on. We need to partake in some creative engineering. Will that work? Will that work? No, it won't. This is some ominous music to come on at this exact moment as well. Cable. Yes, cable in for the clutch. It is a very cool box, Liz, and also the same art gets doubled up on the rulebook. So this is something I really like. You can get the rules as a PDF, and actually anyone who did pre-order like I did got the rules as a free PDF, and we actually got it released about a month and a half ago, so we actually got our hands on it and got to see it before anyone else. The rules have been available to everyone as a PDF from the website for about a month now, but having it in a nice little soft cover printout like this is really good. It's got everything. It's got your power up phase, all of the base rules are in here. It's not a concise version, it's the full rules, including all the stuff that was in the turbo rules for 2.0, so throwing things, all the important things for the special rules, and it even has the actual missions in the back as well. So again, this is literally, it's a printed version of the PDF. It has everything, and yeah, it's a soft cover and it's small, but I actually like that. I think it's nice, it's handy. You can throw this in, a bag or like your gaming box or whatever, and have it on the table like readily and at hand, because some of the like bigger, like I guess you say Games Workshop hardback styles, they're really nice books, but they're really awkward, particularly at a gaming table, because you're having to constantly find like a little, imagine this is your gaming table, you're having to find like a corner to put it in so you're not interrupting the game, but also you can grab it to look at the rules. But this has got more or less everything you'll need, so I think this is really good. My only downside with this is the only way to get it is to get the starter box. There's no standalone copy of the book, and I understand why they do that, because printing is expensive, and I think a lot of people would just go, well, why not buy the PDF and print it myself? But personally, I think this has a really nice form factor, so I would love alternative ways to get hold of this on its own, but the fact that I have it as well as digital copy makes me very happy. So I'm just going to put this over to the side. So next up we have our bags of minis. So we have 4 bags in here each. So we have this one, which is Deceivers. The Deceivers are in black in this set, and you'll notice there is a grey one in there. That was the bonus mini Buzzard that came with the Scout class pre-order. The larger pre-orders got you extra Deceivers and also a bunch of extra Valiants. So we have 2 bags of Deceivers. I'll just be putting these up here for a hot second. and then we have 2 bags of Valiants in the blue. Now, I'll be talking about these in a little bit once I get them out and get my hands on them, because Anthony from Traders Galaxy did actually release a video addressing some, I wouldn't say issues, but some points about the Valiants in particular in the blue. So we'll talk about that. But it's not a problem. It's just something that I think that's worth addressing. So, our two sets of Valiants. We have our 2 sets of cards for the Deceivers and the Golden Lion Valiants. These came wrapped in plastic. They weren't loose like this, but I opened them up again to make sure that everything's in here. Now, I want to point out that this is the faction deck for both factions, and it's the entire faction deck, right? So the box has about, I think off the top of my head, 7 miniatures per side, 2 small guys and 5 big ones. As you may notice, there are more than 5 cards in here. This is the full faction deck for, well, it depends. For the Golden Lions, it's the full faction deck for the Golden Lions. These Deceivers are not a new faction. They're kind of just an expansion to the current Deceiver range. So we used it. There was a previous model of Craw. This is an updated version of Craw with like some updated stats and abilities and things like that. So this is the full spectrum, I guess you could say, for these, including models that aren't in the box. So I believe if you ordered the General or the Commander pre-order, you would have gotten some of the other models that are in here. So, for instance, Conrad and Switch, they're currently available as a separate pack. Hayabusa and Alita, again, available in a separate pack. And then Tarmac, Overcharge, a bunch of the other guys. I think Speed Racer, I think these guys are going to be coming soon, but are not in the starter box. So we'll go over those guys a bit later, and I actually might move my light because we're getting a lot of glare off that. I might actually just see if I can get that out of there. I did try and set it up to try and avoid as much glare as I could. But that's the good thing about it being on an arm, is I can move it around. So we've got that. We've got, this was again part of the pre-order, so extra bag of energy. This is really good because as of now, a lot of these new energy types, the blue, the green, and the red, are becoming a lot more common in the game, particularly with both these factions. I believe the Golden Lions have access to some blue and some red, and the Deceivers have access to a fair bit of red energy, particularly with a certain upgrade. So we'll talk about that in a bit as well. But this is really handy for getting players started, particularly if players have picked up the starter set and also another faction they might be interested in. For instance, I believe Red Star Nations generate a lot of red energy. I know my Mercs generate a little bit of red energy, not a huge amount, but a little bit, which can be very handy. And then we have dice, energy cubes, and also a tape measure. So we'll get to grips with those. First thing I'll talk about is tape measure, because it's a bit of a non-event. This is basically just a very straightforward tape measure with a Botwar sticker on it. Cheap, cheerful, again, great for a starter game if you don't have anything like this. However, I would not recommend using this. If it's your very first game and you have nothing else to use this. If not, throw it in the drawer and never ever touch it. The reason why is it has no locking mechanism, right? If I pulled this out, it just goes straight back, which for when you're playing a tabletop game is not great. Now I get that, again, Traders Galaxy, their main selling point here is Botwar. It's the game itself. This is just a handy to have, but it's kind of like I got to jam my finger in here to keep it open, which is awkward. Whereas if you have proper gaming tape measure, which I do have somewhere, but I couldn't find my GW one. I think it's in the other room. Actually, no, it's literally right behind me. Let me grab it. I thought that bag was in another room. Let me grab it. Dum-dum-dum-dum. Endo. Why do you forget where you put things? Endo. Da, 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 da. Let's put the headphones back on, Ando. So, this is my old cheap and cheerful Games Workshop tape measure that I've had for many moons. When you pull out the tape... Oh, and of course it doesn't want to work for me. It is supposed to, when you pull out the tape... Alright, this one's a bit old, but when you pull out the tape, it is supposed to lock in place. As you can see, the locking mechanism is not great. But how it's supposed to work is it locks in place, and then when you want to release it, you push down the button, and then it comes back in. Much more convenient. Of course, mine doesn't want to work on camera, but much more convenient for when you've got a lot of models to move, because you can just go, cool, lock it out at 6, not have to do anything, and then just do all the movement and other things you need to do. And then when you're done, there we go, I kind of got it to work. Or alternatively, just a regular hardware tape measure. Again, pull it out, push down the lock, it's now locked in place. Far more convenient. Let me just put that away. This thing, yeah, bit of a nuisance to use. So, nice that it's in there, but I wouldn't recommend making it your mainstay. Dyson cubes. Just grab these open. So, energy cubes, I think there's more than enough for both warbands in here, which is nice, because it means that, again, if you want to expand out, have extra models, that helps. Now let's get to grip with the dice, because dice is actually one of those things where I think you really either need to buy these or invest in the starter set. In theory, you can play Bot War with just D6s, but the custom dice, I think, make it much more ergonomic. Now, I know some people don't like custom dice. I know a lot of people are like, oh, custom dice, why can't I just use all of my D6s? And I think that's a fair argument, but at the same time, custom dice exist for a reason. Usually it's to move away from, it's to keep with that old school style of gaming where tables were a large part of it, but to move away from having to consult the table. Because again, you can essentially simplify it down to symbology on the dice. And in this case, you can have, as you could say, skewed probabilities based on the dice type. Now, Star Wars Armada did a similar thing to that. So Armada, you had 3 different dice types. I think it was blue, red, and black that changed based on the range bracket. So the closer you were to your enemy, depending on which ship you were using, you would get, different types of dice, and you would get different amounts of those dice based on what sort of ship you were using. So it meant that some ships were really good up close because they got lots of black dice when they got really close, whereas others were better at long range because they got lots of blue dice at long range but didn't get any advantage getting closer. In Bot War, we've got 3 dice. We have these attack dice, which are purple. Now this is one thing that it does rub me the wrong way just a little bit, in that my brain, whenever I look at these dice, I always see the shield dice and think attack. I think red, I think attack. Whereas purple is the attack dice. I'm just going to break my brain of that. That's the only thing. But you'll notice we have 1 hit, 2 hit, 3 hit, and 1 blank, right? Which means that in terms of statistical distribution, you've got basically a 1/3 chance of a 1 hit, a 1/3 chance of a 2 hit, and then a 1 in 6 chance of either a 3 hit or a miss. Hey Maddie, how you... Maddie. Metal Hattie. My brain was combining things together. How you doing? We're talking up Bot War. We're talking about my plastic toy soldiers from the fictional 1980s. And I'm nerding out about dice. So, as you can see, this one has kind of, like I said, an uneven statistical distribution. Whereas if you look at the shield dice, these only have 2 shield, 1 shield, and then 2 blanks, which means it has a much more even statistical distribution where you've got a 1/3 chance of each. And also, because it's a an adversarial roll, in that for every hit indicator, you need a shield indicator. Oh yeah. I'm not surprised, Hattie. I'm not surprised. Like, I don't know. There is a particular level of brain rot on the internet where people just I don't get it. Like I didn't get it until I actually saw it in action, where people used to complain and be like, motherfuckers think everyone should have an anime face, and if they don't got that perfect like Princess Hime anime face, then they're ugly. And I didn't believe it until I saw it in action when I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago now. GW released the previews for the now current plastic battle sisters, which unfortunately I don't think I have any close to hand. But I remember they were previewing the faces for the battle sisters, and you know, for militant warrior nuns, you know, nuns with guns who spend their whole lives fighting aliens and demons. You know, you'd expect them to have pretty beat up faces, scars, you know, things like that. People were complaining that the battle sisters weren't pretty enough. And no joke, there was motherfuckers who would straight up just be like, yeah, they should look like this. They should look like pretty anime face, you know, Stellar Blade sort of shit. And people would be like, unironically, do you believe that they should look like that despite the fact that they literally, you know, go to war every day? And people unironically be like, yes, there's no reason why they shouldn't be pretty. You know, I should have pretty conventionally attractive gun nun. And she should also let me call her mummy. Again, yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. But such is the brain rot of the internet. But yeah, this is one of the things I do like about the custom dice for this game, is the fact that, because again, you do have a slight statistical variance, it does give an advantage to the attack, which I think is nice. Exactly, Liz. Give me them battle-hardened women. So exactly, there I've rolled a blank, there I've rolled a 3. So that'd be 3 damage straight through. And then of course, last up we have the crit dice. And crit dice are basically the same as the other two, but you'll notice they have no blank faces. So instead they have a 1/3 chance of a 3, 1/3 chance of a 1, and a 1/3 chance of a 2. The crit dice can be used both in attacking and defending, depending on what the ability specifies. But again, I think they're a good addition to the game by adding in that statistical variance. It still does favor the offense, because you generally get crit dice for attacks more than you do for defense. Which, for a skirmish game, I think is a good thing. I think it gives us, you know, a good dynamic gameplay. You're generally not going to end most of these games with many models left. And it means that you can't really kind of just build a model that's an absolute brick. You can lean on defensive builds. The Beast Lords, for instance, can rock some interesting defensive stuff, and actually the White Lions can rock that defensive build pretty well as well. But, you know, you're not going to have an absolute just indestructible brick marching across the field. Even with the combiners, there are some really easy ways to get around some of the defensive capabilities of the combiners and take them down if you know what you're doing. So yeah, that's our dice. And also we have just a regular straight old D6 in here for priority rolls. You won't need that very often. So I'll get those out of the way. And we can start looking at what everyone is here for. We can look at what matters. Which is big fucking robots. Now, how should I figure this out? Who do I want to look at first? Do I want to look at... Yeah, fuck it. We'll do the Valiants first, because they're right here, and because they're new, right? Deceivers are... I don't want to say old, but they've been established. A lot of these guys are resculpts of existing models, whereas the Valiants actually have some new stuff in here. So this is our first box. I'll try and figure out who's what. Now this is, again, it's one of my criticisms I've talked about before with some of the Traders Galaxy stuff, where they don't come with instructions. You gotta figure out what you're doing. Now, the Golden Lions here are actually a fully fledged new faction. They have their own faction rule, which is actually kind of sexy, and I'll probably talk about that now. So, a lot of the sub factions in Botwar have a little extra rule to give them a bit of spice, to give them something else to do. So, for instance, one of the other Valiant sub factions, the Red Cannoneers, their thing is that they get extra close range attacks. So when they're at 11 inches, I believe, instead of 10 inches like everyone else, they get better at shooting. And in the case of the Golden Lions, they have two things going for them. One is that they're really good at repair, so a lot of them have the ability to repair other bots in your team, so that'll keep them on the field longer. The other trick that they have up their sleeve is their faction ability basically allows you to roll a dice, and based on the outcome, you can summon one of the Beast Lords. Now, the Beast Lords are actually another faction in the game, and Beast Lords are tanky as heck. Right, I actually have a Beast Lords force, and yeah, they're thick as fuck. Now, there is a caveat to this in that they have, I think it's at either end of the spectrum. I think it's if you roll a 1 or a 10, depending on what the roll is, because I believe it's a D10 roll. You don't get a Beast Lord. Instead, you summon either Darkstone or Spinnerrock, who are like evil Beast Lords, basically, and your opponent gets those. So, the odds are in your favor that you'll essentially get a free big thick boy to add to your team in the middle of a battle. But also, there is a chance that you'll be giving that to your opponent, so you have to be careful with it. The other one that I was going to mention, and this is what we were talking about earlier, where I said that there was something that Anthony from Traders Galaxy had addressed, which was, I'll bring this guy up to the camera and see if you can see it. It's a bit tricky, but you can kind of see around the edges of the model here. It seems a little bit faded. Now, from what Anthony was saying, this is just because when they made the models, they didn't quite put enough blue dye in the resin. Because resin naturally is transparent. Well, it's a opaque, milky white. So to give it these colors, they put dye in it, and they didn't quite put enough blue dye in. So the edges are a little bit translucent. Now, this isn't a new phenomenon. I'll grab it out now. I have another model that I've gotten from Traders Galaxy before that's had this issue. So this is actually one of my Beast Lords. This is Spinnerrock. She comes in green resin. Let me just get the bag open. Secure the bag. So you can see, particularly around the back of her knee joints there and things, there's just a lot of those like white lines. And I originally thought those were stress marks at first. I thought she had been bent. But no, it's just areas where the dye and the resin, either there wasn't enough of it or it didn't really spread there. But the model itself is fine. It's in good condition. And once you base coat them, you won't notice the difference. But it was something that, yeah, people had noticed and were kind of a little bit concerned about. But no, it's again, fine. Let me fish out. Have I got... I do. I was gonna say, I have another Valiant that I haven't built, that I got free. One of my previous orders, but let me just fish him out. And I'll show you the difference, because he's also in blue resin. And you can see it's actually a pretty stark difference. So, again, this is the color of blue that the Valiants are normally cast in. I'll bring him up next to Paladon, and as you can see, yeah, Paladon's a much lighter color and it's much more translucent, but that's, again, not a problem. Apparently that's just with this batch, the first wave of production for future releases, particularly when some of these guys come out on their own. They're going to be normal, as they should be. It's just that, again, this first wave, they clearly didn't quite get the mix right on the resin. That's okay. But aside from that, these are all in pretty good condition. Some of them have a little bit of flash on them that'll need a bit of tidying up. And we'll probably have a crack at that tonight. And also, some of them did have a bit of mold release on them. For those of you who don't know, when you cast resin miniatures, you cast them in a silicon 2-part mold. And how it works is you put the mold together, you pour in your resin, you put it in a vacuum chamber, and then suck out all the air in the vacuum chamber, which causes all the bubbles, air bubbles in the resin to come out. And if it's a large model, then you put more resin in and you kind of do it in layers. Then you let it cure for about 12 to 24 hours, and then you open up the mold, and your miniature or pieces of miniature should come out. Now, in order to get it to come out, what they do is they spray the inside of the mold with mold release. It's usually a silicone spray. And basically the whole point of it is to stop the detail of the model from gripping the mold, because if it grips the mold, when you peel the mini out, it'll stick and it will damage the mold, and it means your mold won't last as long, and it means you have to keep recasting the mold in order to keep making minis, and that makes it more expensive. So the mold, and also you can wind up with bits of mold stuck to your models. I have bought models in the past that have had that problem. I've had models show up with bits of silicone stuck to them that I've had to clean off. So again, these are well cast. They come relatively clean, but sometimes they have a little bit of mold release on them. They'll look a little bit shiny or a little bit oily, so just a bit of soapy water gave them a clean. I also had some bits that were a little bit warped. So Paladon's hammer here, the haft of the hammer was a little bit bent, and you can kind of see the hammerhead's a little bit funky, but I don't know if that's just the way it's sculpted or if that is a warp in it, but it seems pretty substantial, so I'm not actually sure if I could straighten it even if I wanted to. But the haft was a little bit bent. Just a little bit of hot water, boil some water in a jug, put it in a teacup, soak it in that, and then throw it into some cold water. These guys weren't too bad. The one that was a little bit iffy was Wrench here. So this is Wrench. He's a recast of one of the older Valiant models. He's gone through a couple of iterations, and I'll see if you can. Yeah, you can kind of see it there. So see how the edge of his shield has that kind of wave to it? Yeah, I think that's just the way mine is. I did warm it up. I did try and soak it in some hot water and then straighten it. But even with my fingers, like, it didn't really want to move that much. And I was kind of hesitant to try and force it. Because normally resin, when it's hot, is usually pretty flexible, but this was not really wanting to budge, so I just let it stay. His hammer haft also needed a bit of a tidy up, so again, just in the hot water and then in the cold water. That's him more or less assembled. The fit on these is really good, I'm finding, particularly with the shoulder sockets, because on some of the older metal kits, I've had to drill out some of the shoulder sockets to get things to fit and trim some of the nubs, and even on some of the older resin kits, like my Beast Lords, which I think are phenomenal resin kits. They're really nice casts, but some of the fit on the sockets and things wasn't perfect, and I had to drill things or cut knobs and things like that. So for the golden lions, at least, they're fitting together really nicely. And then we have this last one here, whose name I cannot remember. His hammer haft was a little bit bent. Again, straightforward in the hot water. But again, just straight in there on the wrist joints. That'll go together really nicely. Again, they all have nice poses. They're relatively simple to put together. But again, the main problem with some of this stuff is it just doesn't come with instructions. For the most part, you don't need clippers to put these together. The only exception are these little wings, I guess you say. Well, they're kind of just, yeah, wings or door parts or whatever that go on the back of Wrench. He's got two little sockets in the back there. You can see the little square things, and there's two little notches on those that just go straight in. And then, of course, we have Paladon's shield. Now, apparently, this pose is different from the way it was originally designed. Apparently the arm is supposed to be lower, and that was something else that Anthony was talking about, where apparently you can heat up this shoulder joint and move the arm down so the shield is kind of down lower. I'm not sure if I will do that. I'm gonna have a look at the pose and see how it goes. I haven't actually fully looked at how Paladon's supposed to go together. Like, he more or less goes like that, but I kind of want to see if there's a pose that I like better. And some people do repose theirs quite extensively. I've seen a couple of guys who've really like changed the pose on some of their resin minis quite extensively. I don't worry about it too much. So that's Paladon, Wrench, and let me find out who the third one is. It's not Tarmac. Not Dream Machine. Wrench, Paladon, Cavalcade. There we go. Cavalcade. So we'll go through the cards in a little bit. Actually, we'll do the cards now. We just had to look at 3 of our guys. Hopefully, the light decides wants to be my friend. So as I mentioned, this is the full faction deck. It's not just the guys that are in this box. So we have Wrench. Get the glare off. 12 energy. Sorry, 12 points cost, 2 energy. He has both ram attack and repair. A lot of guys in the faction seem to have this set up so they can both ram and also repair, which is really handy. 6 hit points, which isn't a lot, but again, with repair, should be able to stay on the field reasonably. Strategy rating 8, so he's a bit slow in the turn, so you might have to look after him until you're in a position where he can heal people. Only ranged attack 2 and only close attack 2, so not the best fighter, but very good at keeping his allies alive. And then combat shield, which means 1 shield dice for critical dice when shielding its attacks, which means he'll be pretty tanky, he'll stay alive relatively well, and he can keep the rest of your team alive, which is very helpful. Paladon, 19 points. He's kind of your leader for the warband and for the faction overall. Strategy rating 10, which means he's going last. I'm not sure how I feel about that, because strategy rating 10 usually is for the big boys. It's usually for your Mega Tyrants, your Narcitrons, your Ducals, Sordana, people like that who are very powerful. And that's kind of why the reason why they have to wait till last, because when they do get into action, they're gonna kick some ass and take some names. So yeah, I'm a bit unsure about that one. Because I feel like Paladon isn't quite as strong as some of them. Now, he's kind of tanky, so he has close attack 4, which is pretty strong, and 4 shields and 9 HP, so that's reasonably tanky. He has combat mace, so enemy units may not boost shields in close combat with him, which is okay, and combat shield again, so giving him that extra crit, so that does make him pretty tanky. The big one for me that gets me interested is he generates 3 energy, which is great, because you'll usually have 1 extra spare that you can help in your team. He has ram attack, but most importantly, that's an elemental avatar, right? He's part of a combiner. He can combine with some other bots. Thing is, he doesn't have core combiner. Core combiner is the core bot that you need to do it. So we don't actually know what combiner he's a part of yet. It hasn't been released, it hasn't been announced. We know the 2 next combiners that are coming, which I thought, I saw that and I thought that was very sneaky. I was like, oh, Traders Galaxy, you bastards. You've got me interested, and now I need to find out what it is. Because we know the next 2 combiners that are coming. The next 2 are Star Defender for the Special Branch and Volcano for the Immolators. So we know those are coming in the next, like, 6 months sort of thing. But I have no idea what combiner Paladon's supposed to be in. Because none of the other Golden Lion cards in this box have Elemental Avatar, and none of them have Core Combiner. So it's no one in this box, but it's someone. So last up we have Cavalcade for this three-man set. He's pretty straightforward. 11 cost, 2 energy. Ram attack and repair. Strategy rating 5, so he's a bit quicker than Wrench is, but not as durable because he doesn't have combat shield. Range attack 2, close attack 2, shield 3, HP 6. So not that durable. Can hit okay in close combat, but again, his main thing there is being able to repair other members of your team. Right, let's put these guys to the side. Next up, okay, I think that's all the parts for that one. So we've got our 2 larger fighters. We have Iron Arm, and I think the other one is Dream Machine. I might be wrong. All right, so we've got Roar, we've got Growl. It's not Top Shot, it's not Recovery, it's not Hot Wheel. Yeah, I'm like 90%, yeah, 90% certain it's Dream Machine. Again, one of those things where I do wish they sometimes came with instructions. So let's just put those cards over there. Ando running short on space, as always. So, we have Growl and Roar, where our two small symbiote bots. They take the form of mechanical lions, hence the faction name. These guys are pretty cheap, 6 and 7 cost each for 2 energy. Strategy rating 4 on Roar, which makes him pretty quick, whereas Growl's strategy rating 6. Both movement 7, range attack 3, so they are some of the better shooters of the faction. Close attack 2 and shields 2, which means they are they're not as good in close combat, and they are not as durable, particularly with only having 4 hit points. These guys can get taken out pretty quickly. The main thing you also have to worry about with these guys, in my mind, is the fact that visually, they're lions, right? They look like they should be in close combat. So if I hadn't looked at these cards, I would have been throwing these guys up the field to get into close quarters without realizing that they have a close attack value of 2, and they're probably going to get their asses handed to them. They do have stealth as their super ability, which is handy because if you use that on the start of the game, you can forward deploy these guys. Very good for grabbing objectives, and also generally just kind of keeping them out of harm's way until you need them. Now they are slightly different. As you can see, Roar has targeting data, which basically says if you space-based contact with a friendly unit, the friendly unit may swap 1 range attack die for a critical die when making a ranged attack, which is very handy. So you might want to buddy these up with someone. And then Growl has advanced radar, which is if this unit is in base-to-base contact with a friendly unit, the friendly unit will gain the ground-to-air missile special rule, which is really good against flyers, particularly considering that our Deceiver selection has a lot of flyers. So these two guys are pretty cost effective, and they're good to buddy up with someone. I'm pretty on board with that because I play Mercs, and Mercs have a lot of these guys, little symbiote guys like these. So this is Bombot. Actually, is that Bomb? Yeah, it's Bombot. This is C4. This is Arsenal, and I have Methane around somewhere. And they do a lot of the same thing where you put them in base-to-base contact with someone and they give them a buff. So I'm a big fan of that. So really on board with these two. Very cost-effective way to buff up your force. Then we've got Dream Machine, 10 cost 2, only ram attack, so no repair on this one. Strategy rating 3, so he's probably one of your fastest fighters in your team. Got a range attack of 3, close attack of 2, so preference towards the shooting rather than the hitting. Shields 3, HP 6, so pretty straightforward. The upside is he has blinded, which I've always thought was a silly rule in terms of how it's phrased. It should be blind or blinding, not blinded. But basically, if he damages someone, they lose their line of sight to 2, which means that he's a great, I guess you'd say, counter shooter. If people are trying to shoot up your guys, using him to kind of take their options off the table is very handy. And he has Lucky, which gives him, I guess, some surprising durability in the sense that he basically gets to reroll 2 shield dice per turn. So, again, some surprise durability there. As a team, these guys seem to be very much on that kind of, like, hidden durability in terms of things like repair, combat shield, things like that. And managing them will keep them alive, I think, much longer than you would otherwise give them credit for. And we have Iron Arm. Iron Arm is a resculpt of an older model called Iron Skin. If you look closely, you'll notice the mohawk, and you can't really see it on camera, but he has a gold chain on. Yes, he is very much a tribute to Mr. T. He pities the fool. 15 points for Iron Arm, 2 energy, strategy rating 3, so also pretty quick. Range attack 4, so he's again your best shooter in your starter box, and I think also out of all of the Golden Lions, probably the best shooter. Close attack 2, shields 2, HP 7. So a little bit more durable, only ram attack. But what makes him interesting is his, I guess he has 2 abilities there. So blast is basically whenever he damages someone, every unit, friend or foe within 2 takes 1 automatic point of damage with no shields, which is very good for chipping down enemies. And as I said earlier, with elemental avatars, so there's ways you can get around their high damage stats and high defense stats if you know what you're doing. Iron Arm is one of those sorts of ways with blast, because if you when you attack a elemental avatar, you roll a d6 to determine which bot you're dealing the damage to, and that means that, again, obviously over time you can wind up spreading damage across the entirety of the bot, which will take a while to kill it. But if you're always doing 1 damage unshieldable to every bot in the conglomerate, it basically means that, you know, you can have one guy who you've already worked down to about, you know, 2 or 3 hits, and then suddenly those blast weapons can chip them off. And combiners, when they lose a component member, they fall apart. So very, very useful. And then his last ability is Iron Skin. So against range attacks, this unit may reroll a single shield dice. So not as good as Lucky. Again, still not as good in close quarters as the combat shield, but obviously makes Iron Arm more tanky than you would expect him to be. So here we've got Dream Machine. That's Iron Arm's arm. So Dream Machine, again, goes together pretty straightforward. He's also got little fins on his back, like Wrench. And then Iron Arm comes with just a spare arm. And then where did it go? There it is. Here's Gatling gun arm, which plugs in there, and it's also got another plug for the belt around the back there. I'm a bit unsure about that. I might need to green stuff that to fill part of the gap, or I might be okay with just leaving the gap there. But again, pretty straightforward assembly. And then last up we have the Lions. They basically come with identical legs that are just on the sprues there. That's the back leg. Now I'm pretty sure. Okay, yes, they do have unique legs. So those are for that one. So this one has, again, a more static pose. Then the other one has this leaping pose. This one I find a bit funny. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but yeah, you can kind of see it now. It has a very glossy finish to the resin, and I'm not sure why. I thought it was mold release at first, but I scrubbed it under water and it's still glossy, so I think it might just have a glossy finish on the resin. I don't know, I'll keep an eye on it. But I was a bit worried because sometimes a glossy finish on the resin can make it hard to paint. Paint doesn't want to stick to it. But we'll see. But yeah, these guys go together pretty straightforward. So we'll just bag these ones back up. Then we can have a look at our deceivers. Now, as I said, the Golden Lions, some of them are new, some of them are resculpts, but they are, in terms of a faction, they're all new. They've been splitting up the Valiant faction because it had gotten a little bit too big and a little bit too unwieldy. So what they decided to do was, both in the game and story-wise, the idea is as the bot war has continued and things have gotten, more and more heated and combat has gotten, more widespread, they've split up the main Valiant force into 5 sub-factions to allow them to kind of better deal with all the different threats. So there's the White Knights, who are kind of like a very elite, kind of small-scale faction. Red Cannoneers, who are the short-range shooting faction. They're actually pretty cool. They've got a box coming out in a couple of months. They have a box currently, but they're getting a new one in a couple of months. So they kind of intrigue me a little bit. We've got the Green Spectres, who are kind of like the stealthy, sneaky guys. And then we have Golden Lions, of course, which we have here. And then lastly, there's the Blue Speedsters. Now, the Blue Speedsters aren't out yet. So they're, well, sort of, there's some, we know some of the models that are going to be in the Blue Speedsters as a faction, but they haven't gotten their faction rules yet, and they're probably going to get some resculpts. So they'll be coming eventually. And the Blue Speedsters are all about movement. They use blue energy a lot, and it's all about moving around the board faster. So I kind of like that. I like that as the game has grown, they are kind of splitting things up a little bit and giving us more options. Because particularly with the Deceivers as well, the Deceivers are getting very large. I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do with it. They have split off a couple of things. We got Electro Tyrant's drone army. I believe the Infestors used to be a Deceiver faction, but they've actually gotten spun off. So again, I'm intrigued to see what they do with the Deceivers. So without further ado, let's get these guys out. So the Deceivers are very cool. Now, try not to spill everything everywhere. These were the guys who had, of the parts I had that had warping, these were the guys who had the most warping. Now, it wasn't bad, but it was stuff I had to deal with a little bit. And also, I think it's worth addressing as well. They have seen a little bit of a stylistic change, the Deceivers. So let me grab something. This is one of the old school Deceiver models, right? And as you can see, well, hopefully you can see, I'll bring him up to the camera a little bit. Come on. I know he's shiny and metal, but come on. Let me try and pan it in. Hang on. Where is the zoom button? Yeah, there we go. Zoom. So, as you can kind of see, I can again try and get the damn thing to focus. So he looks very much like just a kind of standard like 80s robot, right? With kind of like with some little horns on his head, right? That's an old school Deceiver, right? He's from one of like the OG box sets. He doesn't actually have rules anymore. I just picked him up because he's a cool looking model. All right, and this is one of the special edition releases of one of the Dissenters. All right, and again, I picked him up because he's really fucking cool, and also because in the Mercs faction, they have access to a guy called High Rise, who's basically one of these, but he doesn't have a model, so I picked this guy up to fill in. Now, actually, I might bring the camera in again. Unfortunately, the black resin is a little bit hard to pick up the details on. Just scooch these guys out of the way. So you can kind of see for him, he's still very blocky, right? He's got some spikes on his shoulders and things. He's got some kind of like hooks on his wingtips, and he's got some horns, right? Let me see, can I get it to... Again, it's hard for it to pick up because it's black, but and there's not really much contrast on it. But you know, this is what kind of the, I guess you'd say, the current generation of or actually the previous generation of resin Deceivers look like. So they're kind of spiky, but if we get a look at some of these new guys as part of Craw's Warband, as you can see, they're very different. They got a lot more curves to them now. They got like, they still got the horns and everything, but again, the horns are a lot more curved. Actually, I think one of the horns on this might be slightly warped, but I don't really care. So again, if we put these guys side by side, on the right, the old school one, very blocky. The newest ones, again, a lot more curves, a lot more, you know, rounded armor plates, things like that. So, Traders Galaxy kind of did say that for this box, they were very deliberate in the design choices, in that the Valiant's very much that classic retro blocky design. For the Deceivers, they are going, at least for this box, and probably for the rest of the designs going forward in the future, to a much more kind of Japanese inspired, they say, yeah, kind of like Gundam, big mecha, you know, rounded edges, kind of more weird rounded torsos, things like that. The feet in particular, a lot of these guys have hooves for feet. Although, to be fair, that other one I showed you over there, he has claws. But again, the designs are very much kind of leaning more into a different aesthetic. Like this one here, I think Cola is. I'll check which one he is. But he's got this like scale mail plating on his skirt armor. You know, the very rounded, hunched backs. And yeah, I like it. I think it's very cool. I think they fit together very well as a cohesive team. It just means that, again, if you're bringing other Deceivers into the mix, like the Dissenters and stuff like that, how well they're going to fit together aesthetically may be determined more by your paint job than by the models themselves. Now, to be fair, there is a lot of variety in the Bot War stuff. Hey, Callie, how you doing? We're here talking about toy soldiers. So there's a lot of variety in the range anyway. So it's always been a bit it kind of down to you as how you paint things. But I think these guys will fit very well coherently together, but as a wider force, maybe not. How was my day? Yeah, my day was pretty good. There wasn't a huge amount to do at work. Until like 4:30 when someone messaged me and was like, "Hey Ando, can you go through this list and check all these computers are working?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" I'm a big proponent of like one hand washes the other. I scratch your back, you scratch my back, and because I'm probably going to be asking this guy for a favor next week, I was like, "Cool, you know, I'll do this for you and you'll owe me a favor next week." All works out. But yeah, we're talking about Botwar III. This is a tabletop game that I quite enjoy. Ta-da! It came out recently. Hi ads. So yeah, we're gonna keep on going through it, and then once Ando is done rambling about all the things he likes, I'll actually put some of it together. But yeah, this is our warband with Craw. So who's our guys in the box here? So we've got anger, violence, rage, and temper, I think, are the ones in this box. We also have rules for the Howler Hunter and Howler Interceptor and everything, the fighters, which is interesting because it means we can really lean into flyer territory with this warband. We have the Hellhounds, who we'll get to in a minute, and then we'll also talk about some of the expansions. And then we also had Buzzard, and I'll talk about Buzzard in a minute because he was a special add-in to the box, because he is not actually part of either faction. He's a sellsword. We'll talk about him in a little bit, but let's start off with our boys. So Rage. Rage has this large sword. He's 12 points. He gets you 1 pink energy and 1 red energy. As I mentioned earlier, the Deceivers tend to get more red energy in this. Those of you who haven't read the core rules, red energy basically it's used as regular energy, but if you use it to power boost a close range shooting attack, a melee attack, or a shield, you get to roll a crit instead of a regular. So, particularly in combat, he can be quite scary. He doesn't really get any extra rules for having that sword, but because he has the red energy, you can kind of just de facto be like, cool, I'm going to use a red energy for a close attack, and suddenly he's getting a free crit. But I'll just talk about Rage real quick. I'll just put these cards down over here. So, like a lot of his buddies, Rage's extra parts, his wings and his sword, come on a separate sprue. When I got it, you can still kind of see it a little bit, maybe. Thanks, Callie. I don't need the diapers. I'm good. Thankfully, through the persistent training of my mother many years ago, I am successfully toilet trained and have remained ever since. So I am good in that regard. But yeah, there's still a little bit of a warp to the blade. I can't really catch on camera. But it was bent quite a bit more when it came, so I had to put it in some water to straighten it. It's probably not going to matter too much once I glue it on, but I did have to straighten it up a little bit. Okay, welcome back, Callie. Clearly you're getting them targeted ads. You're getting them parenting ads. 11 ads, Jesus. I'm sorry. Again, I've talked about this before, but I run 3 minutes of ads every hour because that's the minimum you need to get rid of pre-roll ads. Which is, pre-roll ads are different. Pre-roll ads play whenever someone just enters the channel. So I'm big on getting rid of pre-rolls because me as a person, when I go visit someone else's stream, I hate pre-rolls. I hate showing up and then just immediately getting an ad. So, and also there's some statistics that have shown that pre-rolls just absolutely fucking destroy your viewership because anyone who shows up who's new and immediately gets a pre-roll tends to be like, nah, fuck it, I'm not interested. But yeah, I get it. I wish there were better ways we could manage our ads, but it is what it is. So that's Rage. Next up we have Temper. Temper is one of the few... Thanks, Callie. Thank you for sacrificing 3 minutes of your time for all of 11 cents for me. Again, I would prefer if I didn't have to do ads at all, but to my knowledge, even if you don't have ads turned on, so long as you're an affiliate, people will still get pre-roll ads. So I decided to bite the bullet and be like, I will have ads so that people don't get pre-rolls. It's kind of a sacrifice. Ugh. Yeah, I hate it when they play around with settings on things. I've had that a couple of times where I've shown up and gone, hey, my stream layout's different, and I don't know why. We have Temper, 15 points, 2 energy. Strategy rating 9, so he's a bit slow. But movement 8, so all of the Deceivers are all movement 8, so they're all pretty quick. Range attack 3, close attack 2, so he's our range specialist for this warband. Yeah, messing with settings always sucks. That's why I hate it when OBS does an update and they're like, hey, all your shit's broken now. We painting today? Probably not painting, but I will be getting some glue and sticking some of these guys together later. I'm just kind of going through and doing the unboxing and talking about some of the cards and stuff first. So the big one, this guy's Magna Bolts. So basically, for every time he hurts someone, he'll strip 1 pink energy from them and deal one damage to them. And also, you'll get red energy. So very, very handy for dealing with those pesky Valiants and their healing abilities. He strips indeed. Well, considering that the Deceivers, who are the bad guys in this, are all basically just evil, I wouldn't be surprised if he has no issue with stripping. That's not to say that stripping is evil, but I get the feeling that he'd kill a man and then be like, I'm feeling sexy. I kill a man and I take my robo pants off. So next up we have Violence. Violence is pretty straightforward. Violence is always the answer. Strategy rating 5, so reasonably quick. You'll be your mid-tier guy. Better in close combat than he is at shooting. Combat axe, so he ignores advanced armor or combat shield. Is this Warhammer? No. This is like Warhammer. This is called Bot War. It's a game I really like. I'm a bit of an evangelist for it. It's made by an Australian company called Traders Galaxy. It's basically run by one dude, who's an absolute mad lad because he's built all of this. And it's basically, imagine every 80s cartoon. So imagine if you took like Transformers, G.I. Joe, Dino Riders, Mask, you name it, threw it all in a blender and then spat it out into plastic toy soldiers. That's this. And then last up we have Anger, who has really nothing going for him aside from the fact that he gets you 3 energy. No special rules. Decent range attack, meh, close attack. But strategy rating 3, which means he's pretty quick. So there's our first batch of deceivers. And now for the big man himself. Raw, who I still feel has probably one of the stupider names in the game. Some of the names in Botwar are pretty cool. Some of them you kind of go, hey, that's stupid. Like the leader of the Valiants, Ducal. No one knows how to pronounce his name. A lot of people just call him Optimus Prime. So yeah, this is Craw. I gotta admit, Craw actually looks very fucking, like, he looks good. He's chunky. He's got cool armor that I'm looking forward to painting because I feel like there's actually some good texture on here. It probably is a secret. Now this is where things get interesting. So these are the parts that make up Craw. He has 2 separate sprues because of how big he is. Because he's larger than any of the other deceivers. He's got these little wingerlings that came on the back. These were all in good shape when I got them. So I didn't have to straighten these. And he's got his arm with the claw, or Craw's claw, as everyone likes to call it. So the old model of him had 2 claws. He had 2 claw arms. For the resculpt, they've made him bigger, and they've given him a new arm with an axe. Now, when I got mine, the axe haft was pretty warped. It was bent. Like this bit here was straight, and that was bent. So I've straightened out the axe haft a fair bit. I might need to give it another go. But I did have a lot of troubles with this because it's so long. The haft as well, I can't really catch it, but there is a right where his hand meets, I'll try and demonstrate. So right where his hand is holding the axe, there's actually a kink in the zigzags in the axe haft. Now I don't mind it too much, but in trying to get that out, the actual head of the axe started to warp, like the blade started to go wavy. So I had to kind of fuck with it a bit. I'll see if I can get it into a better state, but just because this piece is so long, it's very hard to get straight. 100% Callie, a kink in the armor, as they say. And for some reason, the axe, kind of like one of the other lions, has a very glossy finish to it. I don't know why. I thought it was mold release. I cleaned it up. It's not. It's just shiny. So we'll see how paint goes sticking to it. See, we're showing each other our new toys. What has Bubbles got? Tell me its features, Bubbles. Tell me of your new toy. All right. Last off, we have. Yeet. So we've got. I feel like there's another pair of legs I'm missing. Unless those came out a second ago. So, Hellhound, basically a smaller version of Cerberus. And then the legs for Cerberus. Now, I talked about Cerberus and extra heads. I talked about Cerberus earlier. Yes, he is broken. I did that. It didn't come this way. I dropped him. So I'll try and fix him later. Oh no, there's the extra legs. There we go. I was like, I'm missing some legs, and I know I had them earlier. Now, last but not least, Buzzard. Buzzard is a special bot that came with this set because it was a pre-order. I suspect he might become available on his own in the future. But for now, the only way to get him is through this. He's grey because he's neither a deceiver nor a golden lion. I don't know what he is. I don't know what his lore is. I'm very curious about what it is, because he has a very different aesthetic to any of the other bots. I'll show you his card. So he's got this kind of like gold smooth base, and kind of the blue and the red armor, which gives me a very strong Coils vibe. So I'm wondering if he's a Coils bot. Actually, is that the Merc faction symbol? I think it's the Merc faction symbol, so I think he's a Merc. That's cool. But he's also interesting in that he gives you 2 blue energy. He's Bounty Hunter, so he may be taken by any faction in the game's not an easy ally. Sabotage, any units that is not activated and is damaged by him, moves at half speed, and Uneasy Ally, which is he can only receive energy from his pool, and he has to get the full blue. So you can't share the blue energy from him, but he can move around pretty quickly, and do a fair bit of damage. He's better in close quarters than he is at ranged, and he's very fast. He's strategy rating 2. Pull string dog on wheels, I see. Steering wheel, a caterpillar rattle, stuffed snake from Harry Potter. Man, a Game Boy for babies? Callie, are you raising a gamer? Are you raising the next pro gamer? Is that tiny turtle wolf hybrid gonna be headshotting me in 15 years time and abusing me in Call of Duty? To be fair, I'll probably deserve it. Let's have a quick look at Craw and the and Cola and the Hellhounds, and then we'll get on to some building. So, Craw, 18 points, 3 energy, strategy rating 4, so he's pretty quick, which means he will be getting in and fucking shit up. 8 health points, which is pretty tanky, 3 close attack. Combat Axe, so again, ignoring those shields that the pesky Valiants will have. And Combat Scimitar, which is a unit with this special rule, may reroll up to 2 attack dice in close combat, which means he'll be very reliable. Cola is interesting. He gets you 2 red energy. He's 10 points. He has stealth, no ranged attack, decent close quarters attack, strategy rating 2, which means he's very fast. Oh yeah, Craw is very much, again, he's a thick boy, but at the same time, I'm also like, I have no idea how to pronounce this guy's name, so I'm just like, Craw's Claw. Yeah, Cola is interesting, because he's basically built to team up with the other Hellhounds. So he's obscure, which means he's hard to hurt. Symbiote, which means you can store him in certain other vehicles, or you can pack him up and carry him. Inspiring Presence. Any Hellhound unit that can draw line of sight to this unit can reroll 1 dice of their choice. Can only be used once per turn. Affects Hellhounds only. So he's very good if you stack him up with a bunch of other Hellhounds who are very cheap. So you can get these guys on the field really cheap. They're a bit slower than he is, but you can still get a lot of benefit out of them. Hold up the puppo and be like, live in fear. I mean, it's a bit like that. Now, there's a couple of that, like the Valiants, they've got a couple of upgrade cards. Most of them aren't anything to write home about. They're fine, except for one. There's one that I'm going to single out. The rest I'm not going to bother talking about. Same with the Golden Lions. This one, for the Deceivers, I think is actually potentially a game changer for this team, but also for the entire Deceivers faction. Destroyer's Bounty. Costs 10, so it's pretty pricey, because most upgrades are about 2 to 3. The entire force swaps all pink energy points listed on their stat cards for red energy points for the entire game. All energy points acquired through missions or by any other means are not swapped. That's phenomenal. That's huge. This basically means that everyone in this warband is running on red energy, right? It means that everyone, when they can shield, when they can shoot at close range, or when they're in melee, will be getting extra crit dice. It also means that abilities like Surge or like Magna Bolts, which affect specifically pink energy, because you don't have any pink energy, you're immune to it, right? So ever since I read that this afternoon, I've been theory crafting of like, okay, that's all great with Crawl, but some of the other fucking options in the Deceivers line, things like the Cult of the Destroyer, Mega Tyrant, hell, even the Dissenters, rocking red energy on those, potentially phenomenally powerful. Like some horrific potential damage there. So anyway, enough Ando rambling. Let's throw some caution to the wind. Throw some bits and pieces up here. Crack open some fresh glue, and Ando can start putting some bits and pieces together. All right, so I'll move my cards out of the way. I don't want to risk it for the biscuit with them. Sure, I have some sleeves. I should probably put sleeves on them at some point, but I'll just put them over on here for now. And we'll crack open some glue. I got some of these little Sellies Fix and Go super glues, which I think should be pretty good for this, because they don't really have lids, but I'm only using them a little bit. This is one of the problems I find with super glue. You don't have to buy the good stuff. I usually buy the kind of cheap stuff because it's good enough. I could get the bits and pieces in my hand. But I find with the larger tubes, I tend to like open them, put a couple of models together, and then be like, cool, that's all the super glue I needed for now. And then I close them up and they go rock solid. And the next time I need super glue, I'm like, oh, well, I've wasted an entire tube of super glue. So we might do a couple of things first. We might take a crack at fixing Collar, because as I said earlier, I broke him. I dropped him on my tiles and his tail broke off. Let me just try and examine how it actually goes back together, because it's very small. And Ando's eyes are not good. Okay, change of plan. That is very small and my eyes are not good. I will save that for after stream. I will try and fix that another time, because if I try and fix that now, I will send myself blind. I will send myself blind faster than looking at naked ladies. So in the meantime, we'll grab some Valiants. We've got Cavalcade here. He's pretty quick. Mother, help! I have become trapped once more. Well, yeah, as I said, I did send me blind. You know, you're not allowed to look at naked ladies. It sends you blind. Not allowed to crank the hog. It sends you blind. Yeah, he doesn't have any bits on the back of his hand. He doesn't have anything on his back, so we'll put him down. We've lined up our bits and pieces. Let's put our glue together. Step 1: assemble your glue. Well, yeah, exactly, Callie. It must explain why women never notice I'm there. See, women don't look at me, but that's clearly just because of the fact that they've been looking at too many naked ladies. So, you know, I understand and I forgive them. You know, I understand. I clearly looked at too many before I was even born, because I came out of the womb and my eyes were shit. Hang on, did that pierce the heavens? Oh, looks like it did. Exactly. R.I.P. Ando's inferior orbs. Oh. There we go. There's a bit of glue. Just wipe off that excess on the bottom of my box. Don't really care about getting glue on it. There. Yeah, a little bit there. Probably a little bit too much, but it doesn't really matter. Sometimes, and I find with super glue this is very much the case. Too much is too much is a little bit of a better thing than not enough. Just get his things lined up. Thank you, Lobster. One hand. Two hand. Excellent. Cavalcade has... Oh! It... Fuck. Balls. I'm gonna say Cavalcade has successfully caught these hands, but he hasn't. Okay, now for me to awkwardly hold it like this till it sticks. Okay, there we go. That's the problem with super glue. Super glue... Ah, son of a bitch. Stay. Oh, you motherfucker. Come on, come on. Yeah. Ando is fighting this guy because he has uneven hands. Come on, come on. Who can behave? There we go. Wow! Welcome in, Lobster. How you doing? Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, Callie. I am overdue for getting my eyes checked. It's been a while. I'm probably overdue for new glasses, but I'm lazy. I had it. It's stuck. Why is it not sticking now? And why is Ando's eyes playing up? Wait, hang on. Let me get this stuck. Get the clamp. I know I need to get stickier. And let me just bring this guy off camera for a sec just to make sure that everything's... Oh, okay, that actually does look good now. His hands look like they're in the right position. Very good. Let's put you down for a hot second. Let me just grab something off camera. Ugh. Give him the clamps. I do actually have a clamp behind me, but it's not suitable to this. It's too large of a clamp. It's what I use to clamp my microphone stand to my desk back when I had a suboptimal setup. Alright. Now you probably have a base. Okay, I think Cavalcade, yeah, Cavalcade's on a 40 mil. He's not a big boy. He's not a big boy like Paladon. Yeah. Yeah, I did dental a couple of months ago, and that one thankfully wasn't too bad. I was a little bit worried because I had a rough patch on one of my teeth, and I was like, oh, is that a cavity? And they were like, nah, it was just like a little fucking rough patch on your teeth. Like, they were like, your teeth are fine, your teeth are 100% good, Ando. You have the best teeth. And I was like, well, not the best teeth. They're like, your teeth are good. They did give me some x-rays though. And I had to be like, yeah, if you don't see anything up there, that's fine. It's always been that way. It's pretty empty in there. So that was good. But still kind of pricey. So let me check this guy's feet. Your feet, smooth. Yeah, they look fine. Hang on, I've just got a little thing to... Where's my scrapey tool? There we go. A little bit of flash I want to scrape off. That's gone. That's gone. Yeah, he looks mostly good. You won't see the rest of it. Ah, yes. See, the one that I always suffered with the one that I always suffered with insurance stuff, Callie, was I could never find an insurance plan that would cover optical that didn't have like a billion other things I didn't give a shit about. Like all the plans were like, hey, we cover like optical and dental and maternity and all this other stuff, and like I'm very single and not possessing of a uterus, so I'm not sure if maternity is something that I'm, shall we say, particularly motivated about. I understand that it's great if you're young and starting a family, but just put it this way: young and starting a family does not describe Ando. Yeah, again, a lot of that stuff's usually pretty good, from what I understand. I know the one that a lot of people like here in Oz is the housing bonuses. Because if you're living off base, they give like monetary assistance for buying houses. Exactly. I need turtle benefits. I need turtle wax. I need shell cleaning. Yeah, I'm not fully sure how it works here. I think for us in Australia, it's if your spouse is in the military, I think it's like a grant. Like, I don't know if it's extra income, but I think it's like oh, if you're buying a house, we'll pay an extra like this many thousand to contribute. So probably put Buzzard in here. Yeah, exactly. I think there's also some areas where defense own housing where they're like, hey, this is like the neighborhood that we own. So if you wanna buy a house and you're a soldier, like, buy houses in this area because we'll give them to you for cheaper or whatever. All right, let's get Wrench's arm on. I think that one should be pretty good. It's interesting, the house my grandfather built, which was to a certain extent the house that I spent a lot of time growing up in, he got that from the company. So how it works is the company that he used to work for, and coincidentally the company that I actually work for nowadays, back in the day they were trying to attract more workers to the region. And they were like, how can we make sure that like our workers are close enough? How can we make sure that our workers are close enough to go to work? So what they do is they bought up a whole bunch of land, like excess wasteland that people weren't using. So the neighborhood I actually kind of grew up in was actually like 50 or 60 years ago was kind of like just a gravel dump, basically. But they bought that and they converted it into a neighborhood. And what they used to do is they had allotments of land, and there was like a lottery. So you put your name in, and when they picked your name out of the lottery, they would go, okay, cool, you and 10 other guys this month can pick which block of land you want to buy, and we'll sell it to you for cheaper. Not cheap, but like cheaper than the market rate. So that's how he got the block he wanted. He bought it, and then he built a house on it, which I thought was cool. And I'm kind of like, why don't they do that shit anymore? Oof. Yeah. Ugh. Fuck homeowners associations. Fuck them for making Cali homeless for a month. We don't have homeowners associations in Australia. At least not for the most part. There are some places that are trying to like set up pseudo HOAs. What? The baby? The baby? Hello. Jua, hello. Let me pause my music real quick. Hello, thank you, Bucks1918. Thank you for the follow. Hello. My name is Takame Ando. You can call me Ando for short. You may notice that my face ain't really moving a lot. Let me rectify that real quick. Jua's gonna hold my hands? Really? Is he sure he wants? Are they sure they want to hold my hands? They're very pointy and scaly. Let me turn my face on. Hang on a second. I don't have my face tracking on at the moment because when I'm doing hand cam stuff, my hand cam camera is over here and my face tracking camera is over there. So we got a new raid message. Fantastic. Anyway, hang on. Give me a hot second. I'm just gonna get everything squawking and talking. Ugh. Let me just. Ugh. Hello, welcome in. I think everything's working now. Hi, my name is Takama Ando. You can call me Ando for short. I'm now being a lot more animated and a lot more exciting. Welcome in, Raiders. How is it? Let me do the shout out. Sorry, we're kind of a bit of a one-man band here, so. Baby, how was it? How was also playing Makers and Crafting? I'm assuming I spelt that right. Okay, also crafting. Also crafting. What were we crafting? Tell me more. Tell me more. Exactly. I got that kink out of my neck. Now my neck is purely vanilla. It only likes sex in the missionary position. But welcome in, Raiders. Hello. Yeah. Once again, I'm bad at intros. My name is also Fairnox 6. Thank you for the follow. My name is Takama Ando. You can call me Ando for short. As you can see, I am turtle. I'm turtle. Yep. that made sense. Yeah, Raiders, thanks for dropping by. If you need to eat, sleep, do just the general life admin things of life, oh yeah, it gets them every time. Sure. That was courtesy of my rigger Liz. He did that as a birthday present for me last year. But if you need to go and like eat, sleep, do all those important life admin things, by all means do so. If you want to hang around and get comfy, by all means strap in. We're talking about, let me get myself out of the way, Botwar, which is a little indie tabletop game from here in Australia, in case you hadn't noticed my accent. I'm a bit of an evangelist for this game. I really like it. I think it's really cool, and I want to tell more people about it. They've just released the 3rd edition. This came to me yesterday, hence why I'm here and being like, let's talk about the thing I like and build some models. So yeah, thanks for coming in and sharing your community. General life admin. Yeah, it's a word I kind of picked up just for, you know, I don't know, life admin. Those things you can't describe that you need to do. Yes, I did say Aussie. From the great state of New South Wales, if you agree or disagree. But yeah, sometimes I do have to tell. Some people pick it up straight away, but I have a weird history with my accent because I was in America once upon a time, and a taxi driver turned to me and goes, "So what part of the UK are you from?" And then I was in Britain, and a taxi driver looked at me and went, "So what part of America are you from?" I was just like, "Nani?" I was also at a bar in London once. I was at a bar, and I just ordered like a Coke, like a straight Coke. And the bartender was like, "What? A what?" He couldn't understand me. And I finally got it through to him. And then this other bartender came along, and she was like Polish or something. And she was like, "So what country are you from?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm from Australia." And she's like, "I've worked with that guy 5 years. He can understand any accent except yours." And I was just like, "What?" it's not a particularly complex accent. But anyway, thank you for coming in. Thank you for saying hi. I'm rambling. Anyway, I'm gonna return to my state of stasis. So I can get back to putting things together because I got super glue and it's gonna want to dry on me. So let me just uh, did I return to default? I think I did. Very good. Oh yes, no, rambling is my number one skill. And Ander will go off topic given any opportunity. Cool. Yeah, so tell me more. What were you doing for crafting? Because I know it's a big category. A lot of people do different things. And when I'm not doing, I guess you could say name brand. Exactly. Kink and neck reestablished. The neck is now into rope play. Sticker deco page. Interesting. Yeah, I have a couple of friends who were into that, but I've never really gotten into it myself. I will admit I have a bad habit when it comes to stickers, in that I will acquire stickers and then be like, great, I must never use this, because what if I put it somewhere and I'm not satisfied with where I put it? I'm glad. Well, I was gonna say I'm not surprised you remember Callie. She makes an impression. Callie kind of. I'm trying to remember. I think Callie found me on Twitter, and then kind of was like, "Excellent! I found another turtle. Do not resist." And I'm like, "No, ma'am, I shall not." Oh no, I'm the same Hello Kitty lover. I have. I don't know if I have it on my shelf. Let me check. Let me stand up and. Oh, and of course, Ando's old knees have suddenly decided they don't like him. No, it's not on my shelf. I had a journal that I got for a birthday one year. This was years ago. This was back in like my high school days. That had this like sculpted cover with a dragon on the front of it, and I was always like, it's so nice. I can't actually use it. So I've just had it sitting around everywhere. Yeah, Callie, the eternal turtle. He's everywhere. All right, give me a second. I'm just gonna see these. They're on a sprue. I've got to clip them off. I'm just gonna take it off camera because my eyes are garbage and I need to be able to see what I'm doing. But yeah, so we're building some Botwar minis. We've already gotten one of them fully assembled. We're just putting little wing struts on the back of wrench here. Exactly. Trash eyes. I see only garbage. It's from watching too much anime. I've gained, like, you know, in Naruto where they get the, what do they call it, the what's it called, the eye. I am so old. Thank you, Bubbles. I would take the ball if I could. What's the eye? I'm so old. The Sharingan. I have the Sharingan, but like all I see is your trash anime waifus. You know, instead of seeing what technique you're going to use, I just see. I'm like, I can see it. Your waifu is shit. Absolutely destroyed. Whoop. Okay, cool. We have two little winglings that'll go on the back there. Very good. Very good. We will glue those in just a second. They do have a little bit of flash on them, so I'm just gonna grab my brush and give them a quick brushy. But I mean, Callie, isn't that true to what the Buddha said? That you know, the saint sat down with the king and the queen, and he posed to them the question, who is the one who matters to you most? And the king sat there smugly thinking that, of course, the wife would answer that the king is the one who matters the most, and was surprised when she answered, but Buddha, I am the one who matters to me the most. And in saying this, the king realized that his wife was not being selfish, but that she was valuing herself for herself as a person. That's a pretty shit rendition of that analect, but exactly, kings be shit. His waifu is shit, but also she's her own waifu, so she is both great and shit, if that makes sense. See, we're in the deep philosophy. Everyone who's new here has now entered into the Ando ramble zone. It's like my favorite position, which is, of course, that Sun Tzu said, if you know your enemy as you know yourself, you'll never be defeated. However, I know my enemy, and I know my enemy also knows me, because my enemy is a cunning person. Therefore, if I don't know who I am, my enemy can never know me, and therefore I can never be defeated. Is that working? I don't think it is. Where did I put my other file? Exactly, Chronon. Amen. Yeah, they can take a while on that one, Callie. I don't think anyone's in a rush to replace Elizabeth with George. Oh yeah, by all means, Jua. Yeah, as I said, if you need to do those important life tasks, like I stand sleeping. I love to sleep. So thanks for dropping by. Thanks for sharing your community with me. And don't be afraid to come by and say hi in the future either. I don't bite much. Don't like this. I'm trying to clean this up. This resin does not want to come off. The problem with some of this Traders Galaxy stuff, it's kind of like, it's nice resin. It's just kind of hard. Means that kind of filing it and shaping it's a bit of a pain. Ah, I see. Double raid. Well, thank you as well, Bucks. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. I kind of wish I had a Bob Ross quote to. Thanks for dropping on by. There are no accidents, just happy little. No, there are no mistakes, just happy little accidents. That's it. You know what? Okay, we won't see these anyway. I think. Yeah, you know what? Let me file this a little bit, and I'm like, I don't think we'll see these anyway. Ugh. This is the dilemma, because I'm like, I will not see these, but I'll know they're there. Exactly. Crafters be crafting. It do be like that. Here's my pointy stick. Pointy stick. Right, even odds, Ando stabs himself with a pointy stick, as he is frequently found to do. Yeah, understandable, Callie. But again, that's the good thing about hobbies to a certain extent, is unless your hobby is like cooking, doesn't really go out of date, doesn't really have an expiry on it. Okay, I think I've cleaned that up a bit. You know what? Fuck it. I've changed my mind. I'm gonna leave the wings off. Because I am a strange and unusual person. Oh, that's right. Everything's really quiet because I turned my music off when everyone raided in, and now I'm like, this is awkward and concerning. There we go. Let's fill up the silence. Let's vibe. Let's chill. Where are we? 40 mil base. Based and 40 mil pilled. I had some super glue around here somewhere. There it is. Get in my hand. I really need to get a more ergonomic setup for this. Now, something that I did notice earlier that doesn't really matter. This guy did have a little bit of a miscast in his foot. He's got a little bubble there. It's not going to matter. See, Callie, you're not the only one who's got a little bubble. But yes, Bubbles, I know you've chosen violence. I know you're like your mother in that regard. That you bring great vengeance upon those who displease you. But please be good to your mother. Is that too far back? For that pose, I think it is. Let me just... Oh, no, he's stuck good. He's now stuck less good. Let's move him forward a little bit. That's better. Because for that pose, I had him too far back on the base, and he kind of just looked like he was awkwardly... I mean, maybe... Or maybe just all karma. All karma is random in the universe. Callie, are you just coming to the sudden realization that this is your child? Like, oh crap, this child's mine, which means that it has parts of me in it. No. Alright. Paladon. We're gonna try and I'm gonna do something sneaky. I'm gonna check the internet. Alright, Traders Galaxy. Load faster, please. Load faster, please. Load faster, please. Alright, where are we? Valiance. It's gonna be on the bundle deals, isn't it? Bundles. Alright. Paladon. Cool. Okay. Okay. So, Arm. I think Arm is supposed to be like... that, I think. Like the haft of the hammer sits down in his like little wheel hub there. Is she shaped for that? No, it's not. It just fits conveniently. Like that's some really good engineering if it fits in that actual little space, but it doesn't. Okay. Get that arm on. I'm going to leave his shield off for now. Mainly just because of the fact that I'm not sure if I want to repose that arm or not. Because I talked about this earlier, this arm apparently in the casting came out a little bit high. And it was, if you want to, you can heat it up and bend it down. Clean that off because it'll be a pain to get rid of. Once the arm is on. Fuck, I love Max Cruz. Saxophone. Okay, better. Fixed. Good. Moisturized. In my lane. Thriving. Oh, son of a... There we go. I think that's dynamic enough. Like, he's got a very stolid pose as it is. He's not exactly running around the battlefield, but that's kind of the point. He's a brick shithouse. That's what Paladon is. He's literally, he's a dump truck. He's got that dumpy. Bucks, thank you for the lurk. Yes, as a heads up, the lurk function does actually work. That's a joke from an old regular of mine who used to come around the streams a lot, Draylon. Because he always used to come in and then be like, lurk, and I would always be like, I should set up a lurk function, shouldn't I? And then I finally set it up, and the joke was, there isn't one. But yeah, by all means, go get some food. As I said, I encourage raiders to do all the things that they need to do. And I mean, like me, I really do enjoy some food. And look, looks like Paladon's got another little bubble as well in his footsie, like wrench, but we can just file that flat. Yeah, you can kind of see, I don't know if the camera can pick it up. You can kind of see there's a pale spot right where my thumbnail is. That's the bubble. You can see it through the back of his heel, but it's not going to be too much of a problem. I'll file the surface down. But I won't need to gap fill that, so that's good. And the other heel's kind of got one as well, but it's not really a bubble, it's just an imperfection. See, I find it interesting that Paladon doesn't have the core combiner code, considering he's on a 50mm base. He's a big boy. So I would have thought that he had core combiner, because usually when you have a combiner, the core bot has a larger base. So if you look at the destroyers, dump truck is the core combiner for that. He has the biggest base. Let me get this nice and coated. Imagine eating can't be you. Can it not? Are we forbidding it from being Callie? Callie now banned from eating? Who made that rule? Sounds like a shit rule. Yeah, we will do crawl. I've done these guys. They can go and sit over there and dry out. Oh, Ando's gonna flex his old man's spine. Alright, let's fish out our boy. He's in the pile somewhere. Alright. We got Craw's Claw. Where are you? That's not you. Where are you, big boy? There he is. Hey, you, big boy. And then his winglings. It's interesting because when he's built, he's gonna be, yeah, he's slighter, but he's as tall as Paladon is. Ugh. Kelly, no. Please eat. You need to eat. Bubbles, please. Let your mother eat. Hang on, I need to grab a little bit of towel because I need to tidy something up. Get out of there. Moisture. I think that's some water from when I was heating this up earlier. Oh, I get it. I get it. Oh, okay. I'm an idiot. Stay strong, Callie. Bubbles, please be good for your mother for 2 weeks. So I don't know if you can see this on camera, but back of Craw's shoulder, there is a little socket on each of the arms. That's where the wings go. They got a little socket there that goes in there. I thought he's got some little divots in his back. I thought they went to the divots on his back. No, they go on the shoulders. That explains everything. I understand everything now. Yeah. Okay, these are all the same size. The deceivers are all on big boy bases. Okay, so what I think I will do, I'll get Craw's feet tidied up. I'll get him based first, and then I'll get the arms on. Then I will get the wings on, because that, whoop, I think will get us the most stable position. Let's get his feet nice and flash. Feet for free. Okay, so these should be nice and smooth now. It's that one. The good thing about these guys is, again, that the feet have been generally pretty good, and they've been generally pretty well posed. So I haven't had to do any pinning, because some of them you have to like drill. So for instance, this guy, which I built a while ago, he's actually, wow, that kind of came on screen real fast. He's actually metal, and I'll show you underneath. See how there's that little white dot? That's actually where I've drilled a hole and put a piece of paper clip through that goes into his foot, because I was worried that he'd come off if I didn't have an extra support in there. And some of my other ones, actually, yeah, here's another one. Let me, no, actually, no, that one doesn't have a pin, does it? Yeah, this one does. This one does. So this guy, because he's got this like a running pose, I was really worried it wouldn't stick. So pin right in there. F in chat. All right. Let's get some glue on Craw's feetsies. Again, I'm actually kind of liking these little super glue tubes. Feet. I don't remember what this song is. What song is this? Ah, it's Night Stop. Yeah, okay. Okay. Let's clip these wings out. Hopefully I don't have to clean too much off them. One wing. Exactly, winging up time. It's funny, Callie. You just got me thinking, seeing as you got 2 McDonald's ads, right? So, Australia doesn't have the same selection of fast food locations that everywhere else does, and like we've got the big ones, we've got McDonald's, we've got KFC and stuff like that, but a lot of the other American chains aren't really here. We did get Carl's Jr. for all of like 2 months. Carl's Jr. started up here and then were operating for like 2 months and then went bankrupt. They ran out of money and were like, well, sorry, no Carl's Jr. for you. So there is one near me that's still actually operating, but it's not like an official Carl's Jr. anymore. It's like, oh yeah, we're allowed to call ourselves Carl's Jr., but we're not run by the company or anything. It's really weird. And same with Chili's, right? Chili's doesn't exist in Australia anymore. It used to, and in fact, one of my friends from high school is one of the reasons why it no longer exists here, because she used to work at one. She used to work at a Chili's establishment in Australia, and she and a bunch of other people she was working with noticed that their paychecks weren't adding up. So they took them to arbitration and were like, hey, our paychecks aren't adding up. And then Chili's were like, what the fuck do you mean? Everything's fine here, there's no problem. And so they're like, fuck you, and took them to court. And the judge ruled, he was like, yep, Chili's have been underpaying their workers. You guys have been committing wage theft. So we're gonna get you to pay all those wages you owe, and we're gonna fine you. And then after like a year, Chili's were like, oh, sorry, it's too expensive to work in Australia anymore. Because I think part of it was because they didn't want to pay the fucking wages that they were owed. And then they fucking left. They were like, no, too expensive. Well, I wouldn't say Aussie government, but Aussie courts. Aussie government has unfortunately had a habit of being pretty shit for a while. We're not terrible, but we have this annoying habit of just not doing shit and completely and utterly letting ourselves get cucked by big multinationals like Google. Google basically pay like zero tax in Australia. And the government's just been too lazy to do anything about it. Yeah, there's one arm. We need to tidy that up as well. Yeah, I don't know. It depends. Some governments have tried, others haven't, and that's what frustrates me. I don't know. I don't want to go into the politics too much, particularly not at the moment. Things have been a little bit depressing at the moment. Hang on. Okay, I freed up the axe arm a little bit. It's still a little bit bent. I'm not sure if I can fine with it or if I want to try straightening it again. Need to clip off that bit as well. Yep, mood. Ugh. The boy has chosen violence. But yeah, no, I get that a little bit. My nephew is not inclined to the violence, but he's definitely, if you're having something, he's like, hey, Uncle Ando, what are you eating? Can I have some? And sometimes I have to be like, no, buddy, this is my lunch. You've had your lunch. It is time for Uncle Ando to have his lunch. Ah, is Bubbles lactose intolerant? Is he lactose racist? Alright, I'm gonna have to again take this off camera for a second. There is scuff on the back of this arm that I need to clean up. Ah, yeah, that's right. That's right. And again, I keep forgetting that Bubbles is not actually that old. My apologies. I keep thinking, for whatever reason, COVID time dilation, I keep thinking Bubbles is like 2 when he's like, what, at this point, 9 months? My apologies. This whole arm feels really weird. Let me hit it with a brush. Again, sorry for taking this off camera, but I need to look at it up close. It's really fucking strange. Yeah, again, it's kind of awkward. Like, I forget that children grow. So, like, guy who I worked... Like, I started working with this guy, like, 7 years ago, right? And his youngest was, like, 2 at that point in time. And it weirds me out, because, like, his youngest was in school, and his oldest... Like, sorry, his youngest was 2, and his oldest was, like, in high school, right? And now I talk to him and I'm like, oh, how's the family? And he's like, oh, well, like, my oldest has graduated uni and is, like, getting married or whatever, and my youngest is, like, you know, getting towards high school and stuff. And I'm like, what? Like, but isn't he, like, small? And he's like, no, it's been 7 years. He's, like, 9 now. And I'm like, nani? Yeah, just doesn't stick. Why is there so much schmooze on all of this axe? Okay, I think new plan. My apologies, Callie. Bubbles. I can't fault your methods, but also I believe you should be nicer to your mother, Bubbles. I think your motivation of wanting a snack is in the right place and wanting a snack by any means. But be nice to your mother. Okay. So, slight change of plans. This axe is gonna need some work. It's covered in a bit of schmooze. Like, it's got a lot of just excess resin on it that I'm gonna need to clean off. Like around the teeth on the axe and stuff like that. So I'm gonna leave that off. I might see if we can get the claw arm on. Might try and tidy that up. All right, let's clean that. As I said earlier, the only problem I really have with this resin, it's really good, holds detail well. It's not too fragile, but it is a little bit of a pain to file. Doesn't like to... I have to file off gates and other stuff from where I've clipped it off. Bit of a nuisance. Come on, clean down. It's getting there, it's just not quite perfect yet. Problem with this one is if I don't clean this off, I will be able to see it when I paint it, and it will drive me absolutely fucking insane. It's the problem with some of this stuff. Other people won't notice it, but I will. I will know it is there. And it will haunt me. Haunt me forever and a day. Come on, almost got it. Okay, I think I've scraped it off. I just need to smooth it out a little bit. I'm sure you're all loving this footage of an empty box. It's art house. It's the new type of streaming. Stare at an empty box for all day. I mean, considering people do the whole I'm just sleeping stuff. Can't be any more boring than that. Ones I always suffer with because of the Australian time zones. I'll go to raid people and be like, oh, someone's on, and then I'll be like, I'm just sleeping. Be like, dang nabbit. I'm glad you like listening, Callie. It's like Sin says. Sin's advertising pitch for Ando is go watch Ando. He's great second monitor content. Which I get is supposed to be a compliment, but I kind of go, hey, I only have one monitor. How can I be second monitor content? I can't even watch myself. Little bit of overflow there. That's okay. I won't care. Alright, crawl arm. Numero uno. He has one arm. Oh, double viewing, phone and the TV. See, now everyone in the house has to put up with Ando. What a torturous existence that must be. I don't watch Twitch on TV. I watch Twitch on my monitor, like my PC monitor. But I've never watched it on TV. Which I feel like is probably for the best. I think I'm gonna put the wings up. I like them up. Yeah, exactly, Callie. How torturous for the both of you. Actually, let me check the website. How have they got crawl posed on the website? I mean, I'll probably still do the wings up anyway, but... Okay, yeah, they're kind of up. Ah, understandable. Yes. Bubbles, watch the big nightmare rectangle so Mummy can have her little nightmare rectangle. No, I'll sometimes watch Twitch on my phone if I'm traveling. But usually 9 times out of 10 I'm watching it on my PC. Because usually I'll throw Twitch on. So I didn't really start watching Twitch or streamers in general until about 2020. That COVID stream era, baby. But it got to a point where, because I was working from home, basically what I would do is I'd throw a stream on my PC. Like I'd get up in the morning, go to air quotes work, like log into our work system, and like unless I had a meeting or something, I just throw on Twitch stream and have that on in the background while I worked. So a lot of my Oshis, a lot of the OG VTubers that I followed was back then. And not gonna lie, I kind of miss it a little bit because it was real nice being like, cool, I get up at 9 in the morning, I go to work, air quotes, at 9 in the morning, put on a stream, and maybe I'll watch that stream till like 11 when they finish, and then they'll raid into someone else. And it was kind of just this perpetual cycle of like, VTubers would be like, cool, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, time to watch Nio. Okay, Nio's done. Time to go watch like Ms. Jackie or someone. I don't know, it was nice just having a rotation of streamers to watch. It also helped that at that point in time, my work was pretty brain off. Like my current job requires a bit more thinking, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm less of a fan of. Because my job at the time was basically just coding, like cutting code. So they'd be like, hey Ando, here's the document of all the stuff we want you to write. I didn't actually have to do any designing. It was all like, hey, we've designed it for you, we just need you to put it together. So it would just be me sitting there. hang on. I think I've found something off. Need to fix. Okay, better. Improved. Fixed. Cool, we have Craw, the one-winged deceiver. Dun 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 Sephiroth. He has but one wingerling. I want to try and get the axe on. That's a good question. That doesn't want to fit. Okay, that now wants to fit. There is some really weird casting on this axe arm. Exactly one wingerling. Wingerling dragon. Man, I miss Homestar Runner, but I'm kind of glad that, like, it's just this perfect time capsule of a better age. Like, it's just this perfect, pure thing that's on the internet forever. And they're not ruining it. Yeah, I don't know. I can kind of get that. Like, when I finish university, I liked university, but I was at a point where I was like, I am finished with university. I am finished with being here. It is time to go and do something else. I like my job. No, actually, that's a lie. I don't like my job. The part of my job that I like is the parts where I have a big pile of work and they go, Ando, here's a big pile of work. It's due in 9 months. Just grind through it. Like, it's a lot of stuff where I can just turn my brain off and you know, just plow through it. The stuff that I like less is the stuff that I'm doing at the moment, which is involving a lot more having to actually make decisions and plan things and confirm things with other people and be like, oh, we're looking at doing this now. Are you okay with that? Do you need us to reschedule? Do you need us, like, when is your team available to do this? I don't like that stuff. I don't like planning things. I don't like having to take responsibility for things. I'm much happier when someone else does all that and it's just like, hey, Ando, I need you to have this built by this deadline. Here's some nice clear instructions. Here's an outcome. Here's a paycheck. Yeah, fuck it. I changed my mind. This'll do for now. We'll stick the axe on and then we can get the other wing on. Because it's weird. So I've talked about this person before, but my cousin and I are very different. You know, family be like that sometimes. And I remember, yeah, during COVID, she was talking about how she was like, oh, I'm so keen to get back in the office, Ando. She's like, I hate working from home. And I'm like, the complete opposite. I'm like, you want to get back in the office? Seriously? Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand the difference between being employed, you know, doing something, and being employed and, like, you know, working for a company. I get the difference. I get the difference there. He has an arm now. I think the wings are going to be a little bit uneven just because of the nature of the arms, but that's okay, actually. Unless... I think that will more or less line up. Yeah, I don't know. The thing that I like least about working, and I've kind of talked about this before, I think. I don't know. Ando is a bit of a strange duck sometimes. Ando, well, of course I'm a strange duck. I'm a turtle. I am very blunt in my thinking. I'm not always blunt in the way that I interact with people, but I'm very blunt in my thinking, right? And I hate having to pretend. I hate having to you know, play the game. So, like, for instance, if I apply for a job, right? They always have that moment in the job interview where they're like, so Ando, why do you want to come and work for us? And I have to give them some bullshit answer like, oh, I want to come and work for you because I want to challenge myself in a, you know, dynamic and fast-paced environment where I can grow my skills or some shit like that, right? That's a lie. The real answer I want to work there is because money, because I need a fucking job. They know that. I know that. Exactly. Bitch, I want to pay my bills. They know that. I know that. So why are we beating around the bush and playing this game when I can just give you the answer of, bitch, I want to pay my bills? You know, why do I have to pretend? Exactly, Kitty. Why do I have to pretend like there is some ulterior divine reason for me to want to, you know, be in your employment? And I understand that for some people there is a reason like that. For some people it is like, oh well, you know, your company's my dream company. I've only ever wanted to work here, sort of thing. I can get that for some people. Right, wing stick. I can get that for some people, but like, yeah, like you know, why do you want to work here? Well, you were hiring. Yes, this is a transaction, and I'm very transactional in my outlook to work. There he is. There's our boy. Roar in all his glory. His Crory. But like, I am very transactional in my outlook to work. In the sense that I'm also very perplexed when people thank me. Like, I had a guy I was working with come over and thank me. This was about a year ago, where I'd come on a project and it had fallen behind, and I helped him get back on track. Just with some skills that I had, and things that I knew how to do. And he came to me afterwards and he was like, oh, like Ando, he was like, he's like, you're a bit of a weapon with this stuff, like you're really fucking good, like thanks for giving me a hand, sort of thing. And I kind of said, oh, you know, sure. Like, you know, I said, like, look, it's no problem, sort of thing. But I was kind of a bit perplexed by it, because I was kind of like, it's my job. Like, you don't need to thank me. I got paid to do it. Like, you know, it's nice that you're saying thanks, but, you know, I'm here for that dollar bill. I should find out what base size is Buzzard. Yeah, I don't know if it's, again, I think it might be a good joke. If you're in an environment for that. Kitty, because again, it's one of those ones where like I feel like you'd have to follow on. If they say, so why did you apply for this job? You could probably joke and say, oh, because you were hiring, you know, laugh, but actually because I feel like this is a good opportunity to use my skills or whatever. I know it's annoying. You have to play the game though. Like, you can't just be like, oh, you were hiring. Although, to be fair, there are some pretty funny employment stories out there. My mum has some phenomenal ones from when she was doing recruitment stuff. Okay, I am perplexed. One base. Two base. Okay, Buzzard is on a 25. Okay, there's my answer. But no, so my mum worked in IT for like close to 40 years. Yeah, actually over 40 years. And so she got quite high up in corporate stuff. She was doing like a lot of strategy things. Like she was a CIO for a period, which is a chief information officer. So she was all about saying, hey, this is how the company is going to organize its like computer systems and stuff. And she was interviewing for a position at one point, and she was going through the applications, and it was for a data warehousing specialist. So for those of you who don't know, data warehousing is a very particular skill set for managing large amounts of organizational data. So again, for instance, if you have like all your lists of employees and things like that, or stuff like that, or for instance, if you have a lot of customers and you need to manage their customer data, you know, you'll need a data warehousing system. And a guy had applied for it who had clearly seen the word warehousing in the name and not realized it was an IT job. So my mum got like a CV that was like, yeah, 10 years forklift driver, like, you know, truck certified, all this sort of stuff. And she was like, oh, like, he seems like a good guy, you know, he's got experience, but unfortunately I can't accept this resume because it's not the sort of warehousing we need. She was like, he's probably very good at what he does, but yeah, forklift ticket is not gonna be what we need. But yes, Callie, by all means, tell me your gripe about interviews. Tell me your gripe, and I'll tell you my other gripes, because I got plenty of them. Oh, that is off center. That is off center. Oh. Fuck, I love Magic Sword. I love their fucking guitar tone. Alright. There's Buzzard done. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I 100% agree. I 100% agree with that, Callie. So back in the day, before I had the job that I have now, long before I had the job that I have now, back when I was at uni, I got a job at my local games workshop selling Warhammer, literally. And that was a pretty good time because my manager was an absolute Chad. I'm still in touch with him. He's a cool dude. And I've been friends with a bunch of the subsequent store managers as well. A bunch of them guys I worked with. But I worked there for a while, and then the company changed policy and they got rid of most of our staff. The store basically went to being run by like the manager alone. So he stuck around for like another couple of years, and then finally was like, you know what? I'm done. I want to go do other stuff with my life. So he left, and we got a new manager. Now, we were kind of like, like our old manager was really good. It's going to be a tough act to follow, but we were going to try and be like supportive, right? And I actually thought that a guy I'd worked with was going to get the job. and he didn't, and I was kind of surprised when I found out. I was like, huh, like I was expecting Jay to get the job, but Jay didn't. I'm calling him Jay for, you know, anonymity's sake, but I was like, I was expecting you to get the job, and he was like, yeah, I kind of was as well. And instead another guy got the job, and this was a guy we didn't know. None of us had worked with him before. No one, like, within the company had kind of worked with him. No one really knew him. So we were kind of a little bit like, he's an unknown quantity, but we were like, cool, you know, we'll be supportive. But the initial vibe I got from this guy was kind of sussy, right? Like, I met this guy and I was like, this dude seems weird, like bad weird. And then like a year or two later, he very abruptly left the company. He got fired. Well, he announced, he was like, oh, it's with great regret that I have to leave. You know, I have to go elsewhere. And my friend Jay, who I thought was going to get the job previously, he became the new manager. And I talked to him about it. I was like, dude, what the fuck happened? And he was like, oh yeah, so guy that Jay replaced, who had given me the weird vibe, he was like, yeah, he'd been fucking stealing from the company. He'd been stealing like money and product and stuff, and like selling product on the side. Like he'd order stuff from the warehouse and then never return it back to the warehouse when he didn't sell it. He'd like then sell it on eBay or whatever. So he got caught, and like head office basically gave him the thing of like, we can't be bothered prosecuting you, so just fucking leave, or we'll actually take you to court, sort of thing. They were like, we're too lazy to take you to court, unless you fuck off, right? And so he fucked off. I talked to Jay about it and was like, yeah, dude, like give me the details. So yeah, basically that was it. With a heavy heart, I must leave because I'm a fuckwit. And I talked to him about it, and he was like, oh yeah, it's real fucked what was going on. And I said to him, I said like, yeah, because I thought you were a shoo-in for the job previously. I was like, Jay, I thought you had this. And he was like, yeah, I thought I did too. But he talked to some people after he did get the job. He's like, I talked to some people about, you know, the guy he replaced. And he said apparently, like Jay said, he was like, apparently I was a bit nervous in the interview, and the other guy was just really good in the interview. Like he's just one of those, and that's the thing, from what I gathered from the other guy, from what I knew of him and like saw him in action, he was one of those guys who was really good at talking you up, right? Like he was one of those guys who was really good at controlling a conversation and making a good impression, even if he was kind of skeezy. Like a great example is I saw him on the phone once. He had a problem with a vacuum cleaner or something, and he rang up the place that had sold him the vacuum cleaner. This is when I was just hanging out in the store, and he was just on his phone, and he was like, yeah, blah, 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 I've got a problem with my vacuum cleaner, and like I want to get it replaced. No, blah, blah, like, and he's like, yeah, no, it's under warranty, like blah, blah, blah. Australian consumer law says this. Like the stuff he was saying could have been bullshit, right? The way he said it, he could have been bullshit, but just the way he'd be like, no, you listen to me. Australian consumer law says that I have this under warranty for 6 months since purchase. I purchased it 2 months ago, blah, blah, blah. So you can either deal with that, or I'll take you to arbitration or whatever. And it's one of those things where it's kind of like, he could be fucking making that shit up, but he's delivering it with such certainty that if you're on the other end of the phone, if you're like a fucking, you know, call center person, you're probably just like, fuck, I don't have to deal with this bullshit. Sure, sir, I'm gonna fill it out and I'm gonna get it replaced, right? Like I'm gonna press the yes button. But yeah, so I don't know. I can't bitch too much simply because of the fact that your boy does actually interview reasonably well. Yeah, but I get where you're coming from, Callie, but by the same token, after all my years of employment, I don't think anyone's equipped for the job. it's a funny thing. So we all love the idea of meritocracy, yeah? We love to talk about the idea of you know, the person who deserves the job should get the job. But the question I always come up with is, like, that pops into my head is, how do you measure merit, right? How do you measure who deserves it the most? You know, I know guys who are very charismatic and are good at their job even though they're not technically skilled, because they're very good at managing people. By the inverse, I know people who are, like, have shit charisma but are very good at their jobs because of the fact that they know what they're doing. And I also know the inverse. Like, I am someone who, I know a little bit of what I'm doing. I am not the smartest person in my office, and I'm on board with that. I am aware of the fact that I am not the smartest person in my office, but I do have a decent amount of charisma. Yeah, well, exactly. Not being a scumbag who's gonna scam the company, that's a different matter. But, like, for instance, I am not the smartest person in my office by a long margin. But people like working with me because they're like, Ando, you're not a fucking robot. You're actually quite pleasant to work with. And I've had multiple people come up to me after projects and be like, hey, Ando, thanks for not being a complete dickhead on this project, and thanks for dealing with that guy who is a complete dickhead and, like, not strangling him. And I literally, like, not quite verbatim, but I did have one of my bosses actually say that to me after a project. He came up to me and was like, hey, Ando, thanks for all your hard work on this, and thanks for working with such and such even though he's a huge dick. And it's funny, well, I wouldn't say funny, but a friend of mine was going through some work trouble where she was working with someone who she just didn't work well with. This other person was kind of, I don't know, maybe incompetent, but also just their personalities didn't mesh well. And she was really struggling because she's like, it's really difficult to work with this person, we don't get along, and it's making it hard for me to do my work. And I kind of was like, hey, like, I get that it's hard, but just put your head down and do the work and get it done. Because even if that person is difficult to work with, people will notice that you are working with someone who is difficult to work with, and people will, good job, Seri, fucking kill him. Yeah, people will notice that you're working well with someone who is difficult to work with. And lo and behold, Ando was fucking right. In that when she did finish working with that person, one of her managers came up to her and was like, hey, thanks so much for working with such and such. We get that she's kind of a pain to deal with, but, like, for the past 6 months, you really managed it well. And I was like, see, I fucking told you they'd notice. How did these wings go on? I'm very confused. Alright, I might switch from Deceivers back to Valiants for a hot minute. Just because the Valiants are easier. I probably won't finish building all these guys tonight. Yeah, Seribot is good bot. Also, explain to me, Kelly, what was the part that your bosses didn't like? Did they not like that you were socializing, or did they not like that you were not socializing? I don't know. Because I know people have had the same problem where they've, well, not the same problem. They've had the problem where they're kind of like, hey, my job is my job. I'm here to do work. And they wouldn't attend any of the, like, office, like, hey, it's the office, you know, afternoon get-together or whatever. They never showed up to any of those because they were like, I don't want to go to those. I want to go home. Like, yeah, okay. No, that's a shitty attitude. That's a shitty attitude. in my opinion. I don't mind office after hours sometimes, but I hate compulsory voluntary participation, if that makes sense. Like, if it's voluntary, right? Don't do that shit where they're like, it's voluntary, and then I don't show up and they're like, Ando, why weren't you at the voluntary thing? Thankfully I've never had to deal with that shit, but I know people who have. Yeah, it depends. I have a similar attitude. So one of my managers I really liked. Yeah. Well, actually, that's a big one. That's a big one that they actually repealed about 2 or 3 years ago here in Australia. Was they made it illegal to put an employment clause that you're not allowed. So previously, there was a thing that companies were doing where they would make you, when you joined up, they'd say, here's your contract to be employed with our company. And one of the clauses in the contract would say that you're not allowed to talk with other employees about how much you get paid. Right? So companies were using that to stop people from asking for raises because you weren't allowed to talk to your coworker. Like, I wouldn't be allowed to say, hey, Callie, how much are you getting paid for the same job? Right? And a couple of years ago, the government actually said, no, that's fucked, and they made it illegal. They said it is illegal to prohibit employees from talking about their remuneration with each other. And the business council got angry because they were like, oh, but we do it for privacy reasons and to stop people from getting jealous with one another. And then the unions were like, no, that's a fucking code. You do it to stop people from asking for better wages. But yeah, one of my previous managers I really liked, he had an attitude that I think is the correct way to do things. Yeah, again, good choice, but good choice to stick it to the company and support your friend. But my previous manager, I really like this guy. He had a really good attitude. In that his outlook on things was he was like, hey Ando, what time do you normally get in the office? Are you like an early guy or a late guy? And I was kind of saying like, oh yeah, usually I get in kind of between 8:30 and 9, because some people get in early, some people get in later. And he was kind of like, yeah, okay, cool. I don't have a problem with that. He was like, I don't mind if you get in later. Like, he's like, if you get in later within reason, like, you know, you're not showing up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He's like, if you get in a bit later and then work till later, that's fine. He's kind of like, I don't care about deadlines. He's like, well, not deadlines. He said, I don't care about, like, you know, when you clock in. He's like, I don't care if you're here 5 minutes after 9, I'm not going to get mad. Right? None of that shit matters. He said, so long as we are meeting our deadlines, so long as the project is on track, I don't really care about the hours you keep, because I am paying you for an outcome. I am paying you for a control interface system that works. I'm paying for you to deliver it by this date. So long as you meet those objectives, I don't really care. Because a lot of people get antsy because it's like, oh, but your contract says you're supposed to work this many hours a day and this many days a week, so you should be doing that. Whereas, again, my manager, who I think was a Chad, he was just like, nah, I don't care. He's like, obviously within reason. He's like, I don't care. He's like, I don't want you like fucking showing up 1 hour a day or whatever. But so long as everything's on track, you know, I don't mind if you like finish early here and there. I don't mind if you come in late here and there. Like, I'm not going to watch you like a hawk and count every minute because I know you're on track. You know, I'm paying for you to be efficient, And especially because I was contracting at that point in time. So he's like, I'm not going to give you extra work to do. It's not like, you know, because some people take the argument of like, oh, but if they're being efficient and they're getting their work done, then that means that they have spare time to do more work, and you should be giving them more to do. And he was just like, no, that's fucking stupid, because this person is a contractor. He's only contracted to do this one job. I can't give him more work to do. You know, it is. I either have to give him another contract, or, you know, just let him sit on his thumbs. Again, this is the kind of shit I was talking about earlier, where again, I hate the game of work. I hate the whole you have to look busy. Yeah, is that enough glue? I think it is. Yeah, there we go. Dream machine. He has gun. Alright, I'll leave the wings off for the moment, because I figured I'll sort his out at the same time that I sort out wrench. What time is it? 11:30. We might keep going for a little bit longer, and then we might call it. I like building and rambling. Okay. Need to clean anything off this? Not really. There's a bit of a mold seam on the gun, but I can sort that. Also, I'm once again shrimping. This is the problem. Again, my camera setup is not great because it's down here and my computer's over there. I wind up being like, shrimp. I'm El Shrimper. Whoops. Actually shouldn't have done that other arm socket, but that's okay. Well, okay, because I'll put the other arm on, but I didn't need to do it yet. Problem. I understand, Callie. Bubbles is just. You don't need to elaborate. Bubbles is just. Bubbles is just Bubbles. Never apologize. Never, well, Bubbles, you apologize to your mother, but never apologize for doing the things you need to do, Callie. Right? I'm not gonna be like, Callie, how dare you? How dare you not come and listen to Ando ramble while you're taking care of all the important things in your life as a strong, independent turtle. As I've said before, turtles together strong. Turtles supporting turtles. Come on, stick. Stick, damn you. Oh, you son of a bitch. Alright, I need more glue in this socket. I think there's not enough contact. Get in there. Come on, stick. I mean, once again, Callie, you do what you need to do. I am in no position to comment on what you need to do, because I am not a parent. I am mediocre at my job and have never attempted the hardest job in the world, that is raising a small organism. Whoop. Brushy for the feet. Come on, come on. Okay, well, Callie, I'm also going to be blunt. That feeling is valid, all right? There's nothing wrong with feeling that way. That's the only real response I can give, is to acknowledge that your feelings are present and they are valid. Have no other trading beyond that, unfortunately. Sorry, ad. F in chat for ads. Alright, let's get this second arm on. Come on, let's go. Glue. 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 I think that'll go on like that. I think that'll look good. Exactly. F's for everyone. There's our next base for Iron Arm. I was gonna say, Kelly, I think ads were my heartfelt reply. My heartfelt reply was, "You need retail therapy. Here, have a bunch of things to buy." I mean, at least fate intervened and gave us something. But no, my heartfelt reply was basically like, if you're feeling that way, your feelings exist and are valid, and that's about all I can really say on the matter. I am very aware, as someone who streams, that I have no formal training in psychology or crisis management. So I try not to be like, hey, you're sad? Stop being sad by doing this. Just meditate, lol. Stop being sad. But the very least I can do is kind of be like, hey, if you're feeling a certain way, understand that yes, the feeling is real and it's valid, you know, because I feel like sometimes that goes a long way. And I know from experience that friends have told me that that's very important. They're like, hey, Ando, thing I like about you. Yeah, and again, I get that. I get that. And I think that's one of the things that is very hard about modern parenting is, you know, finding that time for things like that. But yeah, it's something some of my friends have told me is that they say, Ando, you are actually very good at doing that whole, like, oh, you feel this way, well, you are entitled to feel this way, right? You know, I've had friends come to me and be like, hey, I'm really shitty with someone at my job for this reason. Or I'm really shitty with my partner for this reason. And I'll be like, well, yeah, like, based on what you've told me, yes, you are fully justified in feeling that way. I don't know. I feel like it's the least I can do. A, because I'm lazy and I love doing the least, but also, you know, what am I supposed to do? I'm feeling really bad, Ando. No, you're fucking not. Yeah, and again, that's fair. That's fair, Callie. Right? Again, sometimes we just have to take the little victories. Sometimes it's kind of like, okay, I'll take the littlest victory that I can get. It's like one of my mother's favorite sayings. Particularly when I was a kid and I'd be like, but mother, doing a task seems impossible. There's so much to do. There's so much of a thing to do. And one of her favorite sayings is, Ando, how do you eat an elephant? Right? And I always be like, I don't know, Mum, how do I eat an elephant? And the answer she'd always give is, bit by bit. Alright? A little bit at a time. How do you eat an elephant? A little bit at a time.
Where are the turtles? Where are they?
Nani? Is that a sin raid? Is that a sin raid? Right as we're being all sad. Also taking Granny. Thank you for the follow. Hello. Let me turn off my sad synthwave for a minute. Let me turn off my sad synthwave and turn on my face. Face on. Activate. Ugh. Hello, welcome in, Raiders. Hey, Sin, how you doing? Hello. For those of you who don't know me, why am I being sad? I'm not being sad. It's just I had sad synthwave on at that point in time. Yeah, welcome in. I feel like Callie, that was really bad soundtrack for the conversation we were having. But welcome in, Raiders. Hello, my name is Takame Ando. You can call me Ando for short. Let me do the shout out. How was, I believe you were doing indie horror games, Sin? Was Boy Sin with an N, not with a B? Boy Sib. How was it? Indie horror games. How's the bot war? The bot war's good. We've built a bunch of dudes. Hang on, this guy's still kind of wet, but we have boys. We have many boys. We have many thick lads. Sin made a spider friend. Nice. Look at them bots. I got so many bots. I got bots in pieces. They're everywhere. And just ignore like all of these other bots I have that are unpainted. These legions. Please help. Please help. There are too many of them. Welcome in, Endo. Welcome in. No, actually, so side tangent. I many years ago, when Ando had Tinder, because I didn't even get Tinder for dating reasons. I got Tinder just as kind of a way of trying to keep my head in the social game after I left uni. It was just supposed to be like, hey, maybe I can meet up with some people and like maybe get a date out of it. Because my office that I started working in was like me, I was the youngest dude, and then everyone else was like in their 50s. And yeah, my bio on Tinder was like, I'm going to be honest because honesty is the best policy. I have far too many unpainted miniatures and I need a second pair of hands. That was my that was my pitch. And believe it or not, it kind of worked okay. But how was Spider Friend and bus driving, Sin? Tell me more. Also, Raiders, if you need to go and eat and sleep or do the life admin, by all means do so. If not, strap in, get comfy. We're gonna keep doing a bit more bits and pieces and building for like a couple more, about 15 more minutes, and then I was probably gonna go to EP time because I too, well, basically, Callie. I mean, let's face it. I've probably had the models longer than I've had my girlfriend, if I had a girlfriend, that is. So it'd be a case of like, well, I met these first. You know, come on, girl, get in line. Okay, Callie, by all means, go ahead. Yeah, again, it can be rough, Callie. I can't speak to it from personal experience. Well, hang on, let me put on the sad synthwave and then cut to a more interesting one, because again, it was really a bad vibe, but yeah, yeah, again, it can be a rough time. I can't really offer more than that, and from, you know, my support from afar, I believe. Yeah, exactly, Ender. I don't need a girlfriend. I need a best friend that I'm attracted to. Well, it's funny. A friend of mine from high school, back in the day, he was gay. And there was one of our friends in our circle was like really close with him. The catch was that she was a she. So they were both really, really close, but we used to jokingly refer to them as what was it? Sexually incompatible life partners. Because I was just like, you two are so close, like you should fucking get married, except for the fact that like one of you, well, you have one thing in common, and that you both like men. That's the one hitch here. So yeah, we used to refer to them as sexually incompatible life partners. No, I think your timing is phenomenal, Sin. That's why there are so many good clips of you. You are effortlessly able to just make comedy. But yes, welcome in. How yes, also I will admit, Sin, I did doctor your poll as to what you were going to do tonight. Actually, no, I didn't doctor. I only voted once, but I voted very deliberately because I saw the two options were indie games or content warning. No, not content warning. Not for broadcast. And I played Not for Broadcast and really enjoyed it, and I want to watch Sin play it. So I was like, damn it, I'm streaming tonight, which means I can't watch Sin play Not for Broadcast, so I'll vote against it, and that way when Sin does stream Not for Broadcast, I can watch it. Susaga. See? But also, I figured, like, there's no bad option here, right? Like, Sin gets to play indie horror games and make friends with the spider. Let me just turn my tracking off for a real second, because I'm just gonna come over here and whoop. I have returned to my inert phase. No, they didn't actually, Callie. I don't know what, because so one of them we kind of drifted apart, and I don't know what happened to her. The other one got married. He has a husband. I don't know the husband particularly well. It's kind of an interesting story. The husband was a dancer. He used to be like a professional dancer, but then he got like, it was really weird. He got cancer, but it was like cancer in his little toe or something. Like it was in his foot, and so he had to have part of his foot amputated. So He couldn't dance anymore, but he now choreographs. He does dance instruction. He teaches people how to dance. He choreographs dance, but he can't actually dance himself anymore because part of his foot's missing. So it's kind of one of those like kind of bittersweet stories in that, you know, he kind of had to give up the dream, but at the same time he's still doing what he loves. But yeah, they've been married 4 years now, I think. One of several reasons why when we got the option to vote to legalize gay marriage in Australia, I was like, yes, let the gays marry. Let them marry so my friends can be happy, and also because I have no objection to letting people get married, and also because it'll make certain people angry. Yeah, and we did. It was a funny thing. So one of our previous governments, there'd been a lot of agitation for it. People were like, let the gay people marry, let the parliament have a vote and see what happens. But the government at the time bitched out, and they were like, oh no, what we'll do is we'll have a public vote. We'll send out letters and let everyone. We'll send out letters and the public can vote for what they want. But it was this thing where they said, oh, it's a non-binding postal vote. So they were like, oh yeah, well, the public can tell us what they want, but if we don't agree with it, we won't do it. But then they were like, oh shit, because it came out, it's like 85% of the country came out saying, yeah, we want to let the gays marry. And so they basically went, oh shit, well, guess we got to do it then. And so they let him marry, which gave us two wonderful things. The first was a marriage equality, which is fucking great. And the second was Bob Catter, who is a very well-known conservative-leaning politician. He's not. He's a weird guy. He's from the country, so he's kind of very country sensibilities. And he was against gay marriage. He wasn't in favor of it. But to his credit, when it did at least get passed, he said, well, look, I wasn't for it, but it's happened now, so good on him, right? But he said it in a very famous interview on the news where because he's just such a fucking weirdo. He's like, look, it's happened, you know, may they be happy, may 1,000 flowers bloom, but I won't let it get distracted from the fact that in North Queensland, every 3 months, someone is ripped to pieces by a crocodile. He just absolutely switches tack in the middle of that interview, and just the way he looks when he talks about someone getting ripped to pieces by a crocodile, like he has that Vietnam stare of like he's having flashbacks to when someone got ripped apart by a crocodile, and I'm just like, what the actual fuck are you doing, Bob Catter? Excuse me while I just try and glue something. Oh, there are many questions. You can hang on. I'll find the clip. It is on YouTube. It is on YouTube. The state of fucking Australian politics. And Bob fucking Catter. He's a well-known face within Oz politics. He's a funny guy, and by funny I mean strange, and also somewhat entertaining. Bob Catter Crocs. Yes, here it is. Hang on.
I mean, you know, people are entitled to their sexual proclivities. You know, I mean, let there be 1,000 blossoms bloom as far as I'm concerned. You know, but I ain't spending any.
Yeah, that's it. That's the clip. Hang on. I will put this in stream chat. He is also pretty old. They're all old. But that's the clip. That's from ABC News, and that's him talking about it. And just the switch in tone is like immediate and hilarious. This is a peak piece of Australian like cultural memery. I know it is so good, Sin. It is so good. It's up there with succulent Chinese meal guy. It really is. But I ain't gonna spend any more time on it. Oh. Oh, man. I'm so glad I remembered that now. Hang on, let me just clean up this guy's feet and then we'll glue him down. And I might get the wings on and then we might call it, because I think this will be our last build for the evening. Also, apologies for having everything off camera. I've just been shrimping a bit, that's all. Exactly, Callie. You see what I'm talking about? Just that the immediate shift from like ha 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 to I ain't gonna spend any more time on it. He also has just a strangely like high-pitched voice. To be fair, he is from northern Queensland. He's from what we call FNQ, Far North Queensland. So he's like Mike, but worse in the sense of he's the furthest Queenslander. And like the further north you get in Australia, the weirder people get, in my opinion. Some of them are still great people, but like the climate up there cooks your brain. Alright. Now glue. Also, Liz, are you still here? Summoning Liz. Liz summoning stream. Someone get the candles in the summoning circle. No Liz. Dang. I was gonna bother Liz. I was gonna bully him. Sag. Exactly, Ender. It's phenomenal. It's so good. He's exactly that sort of guy, though. He's the sort of guy who will just like do an immediate topic switch of like, because crocodiles. Don't like that. That's better, I think. It's kind of weird because this guy's sword is asymmetric because it's longer on one end. I kind of want to offset him on the base a little bit, but at the same time I don't. But the phrase he says in it, the "let 1,000 blossoms bloom," that became a meme in Australia for quite a while. But either way, we ain't gonna spend any more time on it. Because of crocodiles. See, fun fact, I've talked about this before. Also, fun fact, Ando says I've talked about this before quite a bit. But one of my alternate designs, one of the things I was thinking about before I was like, hey, I'll be a turtle VTuber. One of the concepts was actually crocodile. But I didn't feel like I quite had the personality to carry crocodile. Because crocodiles are kind of like, particularly the one I was thinking, which is Crocodilus porus, which is the saltwater crocodile. I'm not quite aggro enough to carry that. So turtle it is, and I'm pretty satisfied with that choice. Are these wings for this back? I'm pretty sure they are.
Insulated Eurasian wolves shrug off the cold.
Some crocodiles are lazy, but well, I mean, technically all crocodiles are lazy because their whole hunting strategy is hide in the water till something comes nearby and then eat it. But I don't know. I don't think I have crocodile vibes. Why am I being blessed? Endo, why am I being blessed? Why are you casting this clerical curse upon me? Oh yeah, probably. I don't recall saying bless you for people who belch though. I thought that was for people who sneeze. Okay, sweet. These wings do in fact fit. Let me get a wing on. Actually, no, I won't get this wing on. I will fit the other one first. Sheet. Alright, question 1. Where did I put the other wing? Oh, there it is. Ah, interesting. Well, thank you for blessing me and keeping my soul within my body. That is, after all, why you say bless you for when someone sneezes, because that's when the soul is trying to escape. And you must force it back into this wretched mortal shell. The lure of paradise shall nae have it yet. Yeah, but look, everyone is odd in how they grow up. I remember I got told off in school once. I would have been about maybe 12 at the time for not covering my mouth when I yawned. I just yawned and the teacher was just like, how fucking dare you? And I was like, what? And he's like, you know what you did. I'm like, what the fuck did I do? I didn't actually say what the fuck to him. I was like, I was genuinely very confused. And he was like, you know it's rude to yawn. And I was like, no, I don't. Because I come from a family of like rabid yawners. Like my dad will just yawn. My granddad would just yawn. And like they would never cover their mouths or say anything about it. They just go, ugh. And like even if it was a loud noise, they'd just be like, cool, I yawned. I can deal with it. So that was the family life that I came from. So this teacher getting aggro at me and being like, how dare you yawn? I was like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? What, like, how dare I yawn? I don't understand. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the problem here is, sir. And again, like I can understand covering your mouth when you sneeze or cough, right? Because that's like so you don't give everyone else plague. And like my nephew's like very good with that. Like so like you know he'll cough into his arm or whatever, into his sleeve, and we'll be like, great job, buddy. You know, positive reinforcement. Because the whole point of that is so that you're not, you know, giving everyone plague. But like, yeah, growing up in a household where yawning is a normal thing, and that was the other one as well. I used to get in trouble. This wasn't a lot of the time, but it happened a couple of times. I'd get in trouble in school for whistling. Again, usually it was in class, right? Like while we were just doing work or whatever. But again, that's because I came from a family where my maternal grandfather, I can't really whistle anymore. It's kind of weird. My mouth has changed shape over the years and it doesn't work like it used to. But my maternal grandfather, my mum's dad, he was a carpenter and he would just like whistle while he was doing shit around the house. Like he would just whistle while he was like doing work. And so I grew up in that environment of like, cool, like whistling is just a thing you do while you are doing a task. So like I grew up with that. So I'd just be like cool sitting at my desk at school doing my like math problems or whatever, and I just start whistling, because that's like what my grandfather would do. He would just sit at the coffee table and like do his crossword or whatever and whistle, because I was just kind of like in my small 5-year-old brain, I was like, that's what you do. You sit there and you do a task and you whistle, and then the teacher would be like, Ando, cease, you're distracting everyone. And I'm like, oh, can I not cease? Hang on, wing, get in the socket. Okay, I think we're good. Excellent. We have the boy. Fuck, that's a wingspan. We have the boy. Okay, I think that's the last one. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Callie, that is a fair approach to take. And my mum was kind of notorious for this sort of shit. Well, not notorious, but like, my mum is a very sensible woman. And so, in the times when she got called into the school, like, there were a lot of times where if she got called in for me, it was generally because I had actually fucked up and she'd straighten things out. Not that she got called in a lot, but like when it was my cases, it was usually, yeah, and I genuinely fucked up. But with my brother, there was some stupid shit that happened with my brother where mum was like, no, this is patently stupid. And she's the sort of person where like she'd get called into the school and would sit down with the teacher and they'd be like, so what you need to understand, ma'am, is the following things. And my mum would be like, so what you're telling me is that like my son did the right thing and you're collectively punishing him as well? And they'd be like, well, that's not quite like it. And she'd be like, no, that's what it sounds like. And here's how, like, here's the fucking lesson that's teaching my son. Yeah, it depends. So my mum wasn't a single parent. Both my parents were and are still together. But my mum, I think, she wasn't one of the few, but mum was a working parent, and mum was a full-time working parent, right? Mum had a job with a fair bit of demand on it. She actually did travel a bit as well for her job, and the school sometimes did not appreciate that, in the sense of like, when I was 6, we had a flood here. Like it was a big deal in my city. We had this flood, and our house didn't flood. Our house was fine. And the school wasn't officially closed, but I remember showing up at school with me and my brother and mum one morning, and I remember mum kind of like being like, kids wait here, and like having a discussion with the teachers. And like, I remember that kind of just being a weird vibe. And years later, mum was like, oh yeah, the teachers weren't fucking happy with me. She was like, the teachers wanted me to piss off. They were like, can't you just take the kids home? Because like, there were a couple of other kids at the school that day, but not that many. And like, none of the teachers wanted to be. They were all like, hey, can't you just take your kids and piss off? I don't think it was the exact words they said. And mum basically just looked at them and was like, no, I can't fucking just take them home. Like, I have a job to go to. Why didn't they just close? I think it was because the school itself hadn't flooded. Like, I think the school itself was fine, so I don't know if they could close. It's important to remember that, so Australia, unlike America, we don't have snow regularly. So, like, America, they do the whole snow day thing of like, oh, you know, it's snow, like, you know, too much snow, can't go to school sort of thing. We don't really have an equivalent for that, so there isn't really a system for schools closed. There can be if the school is like, you know, unsuitable, like if it's flooded or whatever, but it was one of these cases where the school was fine, it was just these teachers kind of didn't want to be there. Yeah, exactly, Callie, exactly, with the whole attendance being mandatory and then, you know, having worked so many hours, that was the same kind of vibe my mom had, where she was just like, because they were like, oh, can't you just take the kids home? And mom's like, no, I can't fucking take the kids home. I have a full-time job to go to. Like, you have a job as well, being teachers. They were kind of like, oh, but you can't just, you know, they can't just leave the kids here. I was like, yes, I can, because you're teachers, it's your job. Like, your job is to take care of my kids for the day and teach them, while my job is to go to work and, you know, run a fucking IT security system. I don't know. I don't think it was necessarily they didn't want to teach. And again, I cut them a little bit of slack in hindsight. In hindsight, I'm like, hey, I get it. If the whole city has been flooding, and you know, maybe there's been flooding at your place, maybe it hasn't been flooded, but it's been in danger. Maybe you've got, you know, your backyard flooded or something like that. You've got shit you want to deal with, like, you know, hey, you know, I'd prefer to go home and make sure my house is okay, rather than spend 8 hours at school looking after a handful of kids and then going home and fixing my house. I can kind of get that. But at the same time, the fact that they were like, hey, like, can't you just take the kids sort of thing? Like, the fact that they kind of seem to have complete ignorance for the fact that my mum, who's there in, like, a pantsuit, like, because again, my mum was a businesswoman, my mum is a businesswoman, and she dresses like a fucking businesswoman, right? You know, she did not look like she was just there for a casual, you know, day out. Like, my mum was dressed for work, and it's like, you know, if she'd shown up in high vis and you know, steel cap boots, maybe they'd be like, you know, oh shit, this bitch is going to work. But like, yeah, we never quite had that, Callie. So I did get told off for trying to read books that were, quote, too advanced at school, because I really liked animals, so I kept trying to read all the biology, like, textbooks. Yeah, and again, I get that as well, Ender, and that's what my mum, she was just like, nah, fuck them. There were other kids at the school anyway. Like, I ain't gonna play that game. And yeah, don't fuck with my mum. I love my mum. But she's a badass like that. And again, it's one of those things where I feel like if I ever did have kids, I would probably inherit that. To a certain extent, I would probably be the parent who shows up and is like, so tell me, why is it you were telling my child this? Like, why is it my child got punished for this? Because my mum was also pretty fair, like, in the sense of if I had genuinely fucked up, she'd be like, yeah, Ando's fucked up. How do we rectify this? But there were plenty of other times. So I'll tell you a story. This was one. So my brother, when we were in high school, my brother, he's 2 years older than me. He was the school vice captain, right? Because we went to a fancy private school. Not fancy, but we went to a private school because he got a scholarship. He was school vice captain, and he had an exam one day. He was going to go to this maths exam. This is when he was in his senior year, and the dean runs into him. The dean, so she's in charge of, like, the senior grades, and she goes, "Oh, Ando's brother, why aren't you in your sporting kit or whatever?" And he's like, "What?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, because you're going on that trip." That because he was in one of the bands, the school bands. She's like, because you're going on that trip, you'll miss the athletics carnival. So we've set up a second athletics carnival for all the people who are going to miss it to go and do their races and stuff. And my brother's like, well, okay, that's great, but I have an exam to go to. And she goes, no, you have to go to this athletics thing because you're the school vice captain. You have to show leadership and go to this thing. He's like, but I don't have my sports kit. She's like, I don't care. You have to go to it and participate because you have to show leadership. So he went to that and then got really upset and distraught because he missed his maths exam, and the teacher was going to be like, hey, you missed your maths exam, Ando's brother. Care to explain? And he's like, well, I went to this athletics thing, and they were like, yeah, that's not fucking good enough. Like, I'm going to have to give you a fat 0 or whatever. She heard us talking, Callie. She heard us talking. But anyway, so my mum got pretty pissed off when she heard about this. And when she had parent-teacher interviews, so the way the school did parent-teacher interviews was in the library, and there'd be, like, desks all around the library with a different teacher sitting there, and parents would, like, rotate between them. And so my mum went and sat down with the senior dean and was talking with her, and she's like, so, explain to me why my son missed a maths exam for his senior year, for his, like, final high school mark, to go to an athletics thing, when my son is not an athletics kid. Like, my son is not a competitive runner. My brother was never a runner or anything like that. My brother was more into, like, weightlifting and stuff. So she was like, he you know, there's no advantage to him going to this. Why did he go to this? like, why did you make him miss an exam to go to this? And the dean kind of flubbed, and she's like, oh, well, you know, we believe in leadership here, and we believe that your son, you know, needed to show leadership befitting his position by setting an example to the junior students and by participating and blah, 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 blah. And as she's saying this, the principal walks past, because the principal would kind of like do like a circuit. And my mum just goes, ah, like Principal so-and-so, how good you're here. I've just been having this really interesting discussion with the senior dean about, you know, the principles of leadership and the kind of the idea that the school instills leadership in its students. So what would you say to the following scenario where a student has a mathematics exam for their senior exams, but is instead told to go to a unrelated athletics event that they're not equipped for, and they're being told to do this as an example of their own leadership? What do you think that's a good example of leadership amongst the school's teachers? And the principal kind of just looked at the dean and looked at my mum and had this look in his face of like, clearly I've missed something here, but I'm picking up enough of what's happened that clearly the dean has fucked up. And he was like, yeah, no, I wouldn't think that is appropriate. And I think if that had happened, I would be having a discussion with that teacher. And I heard through the grapevine, because I had people I had friends at school whose parents were teachers at school. He didn't go off on her, but apparently he did talk to her afterwards, the dean, and was like, yeah, you fucked up. Like you made one of our senior students, who is also academically a bit of an achiever. Well, because the other thing as well is the school, one of the school's big things that they always talked about was academic. They're always like, oh, academic achievement. And my brother, while not the top student in his year, was up there. He was quite well positioned. So the fact that like he'd missed an exam to go to like an athletics thing, the principal was kind of like, you have fucked up making one of our like higher ranked students miss an exam sort of thing. Not that they care about the rankings too much, but it's kind of one of those things of like, a big part of our selling point is academia, and you have just like potentially shafted this kid. Which I was kind of like, yeah, like the principal was a bit of a weird dude. He was kind of awkward, but in this case I was like, great fucking job. And also just my mum being an absolute fucking machine and just destroying the dean. Because I was present for that interaction. I was off in a corner and I watched it happen, and it was one of the most like methodical destructions of a person I have ever seen. Because it was just nothing the dean could say was right. Like anything she tried to say to get out of it, my mum was just like, oh, isn't that interesting? Well then, yeah, I love my mum. She scares me a little bit, but I love her. Anyway, there we go. We've got 2 deceivers built. We got Buzzard built, and we got a bunch of Valiants. I think that's it for the evening. Ando's gone off and gotten distracted and is telling rambling stories about his youth. Back when I was a boy, back when I was knee high to a grasshopper. So who are we gonna go see? We got the delinquent ghost. We got Dank. Oh, there's someone else who's makers and crafting. Yeah. We'll go see Kuano. Thank you, Hibiscus. Thank you. I enjoy the ramblings sometimes, but I also try and be productive, because I also get the feeling, particularly with hand cam streams, if I'm just rambling and there's no hands on the stream, it gets a little bit boring because you're just staring at a box while I talk. But yeah, let's go see Kuano. Because they're also makering. Kuanano. Alright, we'll go see them. So they're sewing. Alright, we'll go and say hi. And I can embarrass myself by the fact that he is the Raiderino if you have the means to use it. Did the emotes load? I don't know if they did. Anyway, we'll go see them. Hang on. Ooh, nah, no. Alright, I will be back tomorrow. Actually, let me do a shout out before I go. We'll be back on Maddie's channel. I'm assuming I spelled that right. Yes, I did. We'll be back tomorrow on Maddie's channel. Go check out Maddie. We're going to be playing our last session of Monster Prom for a while. So, come and watch Ando fumble. And then let's actually go into a raid. Even though I keep deferring it. Anyway, we will set up the raid, but thank you so much for coming and hanging out and listening to me ramble about Botwar 3, the game that I really, really like and am excited for. Yeah, this has been coming for a while, and I've just been so happy that I finally got it in my hands, because again, I love little indie games like this. The models are great, and also it's Australian. Like, you gotta rep your home country, particularly when we are often so small when it comes to things like this. Like, we don't have that kind of player base to really support a game. So when we do make something, I kind of want to back it and make it thrive. So by all means, thank you everyone for dropping by. Thank you for our new followers. Thank you everyone who rated in. My name is Takama Ando. I'm gonna see you on the other side. Bye.